And this saddens me dearly. So anyone who was part of this, get into my DM so I can yell at you. No one would scrim them. No one from EU would scrim them before they played in the World Championship. I cannot believe that in any way, shape or form. So whoever denied scrims with them, shame on you. But secondly, you know what they did instead? They went and 5-stacked EU ranked together, and they said that's how they prepared for the World Championships. I've never heard a team jump into ranked to prepare for any match, let alone the biggest tournament in the entire year. If that doesn't scream chaotic and all 12 other synonyms for that word, then I have nothing else to give you.
All right, well, we're moving into the map ban phase right now, and I want to know what both of you are thinking as this information comes up on the screen. Jess?
Oregon. Banned out. That's just such a default thing for BDS to do nowadays. Why would you?
They don't tend to like it. It's Elevate's most favourite map, and also they put in a pretty bad performance on it yesterday against TSM.
Yeah, Coastline as well going out. That's a little bit surprising because you actually could have taken BDS to Coastline and I would have not faulted you for doing so.
It's a game plan a lot of teams that feel that they're inferior to BDS do, because we know Coastline is the great leveler, so it's a somewhat surprising ban for Elevate because it's also one of their most favourite maps, you know, domestically.
Yeah. Oh, Clubhouse. We love a good Clubhouse. One of those maps that I ripped CAG, another APAC team, apart on just earlier on. So let's see if Elevate can give us a better showing on that map, because it's a map that if you were to put two teams head-to-head on, it would be the most fairest playground to go to really designate which team is better.
Moving through to Kafe, the pick of Kafe is, so Elevate have had their first and second most favourite maps banned out. They've picked their third most favourite map in Kafe. It's one that is actually seen as a stronghold for BDS as well, so they're showing that confidence picking into one of BDS's favourite maps.
You know what? You say it's confident for BDS, but the other day when Elevate beat Dark Zero, okay, Dark Zero's not had a good run, so how much do we weight that? I'm not sure. But that was the very first map of this entire tournament that Elevate played. They won 7-4 against Dark Zero on this map. So it's a good map for Elevate at the moment, at least in recent form.
Chalet as the decider is, I like this because both teams don't have a high preference for Chalet.
They do not.
It feels a very 50-50 map that if we get to Chalet, it's kind of just like, we want the most 50-50 map possible. Neither of us like it. Let's just try and not get there and win in two, is I think what these teams are thinking.
Do you remember EUL Finals?
I do.
I wasn't there, unfortunately, but I was a spectator for it. Remember? BDS 7-0'd Empire on that map.
Did.
So technically, even though that's online and, you know, whatever, technically, they're pretty good at that map.
All right, well, Fresh Jess, excellent analysis as always, but our teams are ready to go. So BDS versus Elevate. Let's hand it over to our lovely casters, Emmy and Fluke. Let's go!
I guess I'm out of here.
Oh yeah, it was
Emmy and Fluke. So, goodbye. I'll go back home, I guess.
I'm gonna block the logo, but it's me and just the logo now. Thanks, Jackie. This is time that we had this power. A surmountable amount of power. As we get into this showdown. No, come back, I need you. I don't know numbers, I can't count. It's BDS versus Elevate. And, okay, now you're back.
I wanted to come back when the game was there, but
no.
I'm not going to leave you alone that long.
No, because they need to do this.
Oh, there we go.
Advertise your socials.
Should be Emmy and Fluke.
It would have been funny, but it's probably not quick enough to do that. Okay, BDS, Elevate.
Yes.
Let's do a very quick rundown of the group. Bam! First place, TSM. Furia.
Yep.
6 points apiece. They're qualified. They're good.
Yeah, they're good.
Seeding, they're playing for seeding still, obviously, but they're still good. They're locked in. Then it's Elevate, DZ, and BDS. 3, 2, 1 points, respectively. BDS only have one more game. They have one more opportunity to pull any points from, and it is this one.
Yeah, and that means they need to show up now. This is their last stance. They need to hold the line. They need to get as many points out of this as they possibly could.
They need all of them.
Yes.
If they want to have the best chance possible, they need all of them, because if they get anything less, then they lose against Elevate on the head-to-head, because Elevate will have 4 points, BDS will have 3, so at that point, nothing. And then they would need
Dark Zero to lose.
Dark Zero to lose. And in that case, they would need Dark Zero to lose against TSM and against Furia. So they're playing TSM right now, obviously, on the A stream. Furia on the B stream. Super Onigiri, he doesn't want the camera. He's saying focus in on the others.
Actually, when I was in my hotel room just waiting, I was watching the games, as anybody else, and I was keeping the chat sane, which is a difficult task every now and then.
Yeah.
And then Onigiri came in and he's like, oh, Hap, hello, how are you doing? And it's like, oh, yes, I'm in Sweden as well. And it's like, do you want a picture? I'm like, no, we can't do that now.
Yeah,
like,
we're getting a bit of trouble.
Honestly, I was, back when he was still in APAC North, back when the team was still in APAC North, I was a big fan of them because I like their
love their energy.
Xavier,
well, when they were once upon a
back
time
then,
called Xavier, and we
yes.
cast them however long ago in APAC South, and or in APAC North, and they went down to APAC South and have been playing around there and looked after by Dev and the boys from down under.
I won't even be able to do that. I can just say good day, mate. That's about it.
Honestly, it's like I'm here right now
Perfected that.
with Dev or one of the boys.
Exactly.
But I'm assuming all of them, all of the very talented APAC South team, are here watching kind of nervously, because although BDS, now everybody at this point knows that they're unable to play with Rafal for 2 of the opening games. The third, yesterday, as they've said on social media, they just weren't in the right headspace. They were barely talking, they were communicating, there was a weight and an uncomfortable sort of atmosphere. And against TSM, which regardless of how it was going to go, that was, for a lot of people, the hardest game they had in this group. They were 2 favorites coming in, regardless of anything else that's sort of thrown away. Although TSM hit it on the open quals, they're still an exceptionally strong team, and they always have a good showing internationally.
Yeah, they definitely do. Sorry, I'm on the meantime still trying to figure out how my clip works, because I took it off and...
Oh, it's
annoying. The clip off the microphone. Either way, important matchup is coming up. It is, for both these teams, business to make sure they... well, first of all, one wants to pick up 3. The other one, I think, just needs 1 to be good to go.
Yep, Elevate just need
1 point. Map.
1 point, and then they've confirmed themselves ahead of BDS. That would lock them in. Obviously, they're going to be playing for the full 3. They still have the possibility of getting 6, technically. Elevate 2. If they can take the full fat win here against BDS, then they're locked in. But, as we said in the conversation, to secure themselves in the next bracket, to escape groups, they just need 1 map, and BDS, they are well aware of this.
They're very well aware indeed. Let's see how BDS will be able to proceed. Now, like yesterday, they said it themselves. Barely anybody said anything after they were able to play with a fallback in the lineup. Of course, a small delay as well coming up as a reason for it. And you really hope that they have been able to use today because they are last game, luckily so, gives them that extra time to get everything back on its tracks. And you can really hope that they are ready to shine in what they're capable of showing, because it's been the issue, right? They've taken maps, they could have taken wins against Dark Zero, for example, if only 0.5 extra seconds were on the round timer. Day, that is, would have gotten the clutch and train. They could have had a win, but more importantly, so they still have that chance. It's not over yet. And now they get to make the last stand.
BDS, are you aiming for this 2-0? Are you going to be driving yourself with the ferocity that everybody expected out of the gate, with everything else that sort of drove itself into everything else about this tournament, which everyone else is aware of? It's now or never. And that is that sort of overhang is for all the other games that had their own respective pressures. The one right now is it's a best of 3, and you need the full 3 for even a chance, let alone anything else that might come through from it. Rafal with a steady approach here across the top. They're going for the clear across all of it, but this is a tall hold. This is that sort of stretch where you've still got to deal with the verticalities above bar. You've got to make sure that you get that lock in, and you can see that Elevate have given themselves those big sight lines all the way across from Gym. They're going to make sure that it's a little bit awkward to get your head knocked in towards that top side.
Now, often you do still see a bit of an expansion going in towards CCTV cache. None of that is currently the case, and that means that, you know, BDS gets a lot of free space, actually, to work around this top floor area. Sapper trying to take care of some drones. In the meantime, we do have Shaiko up close on that top floor already, waiting to just get a piece of information, able to be swinging in as, in the meantime, go for a bit of a flank as well. So there's like multiple things going on currently. Did that just destroy his Gemini? What just happened?
I'm not entirely sure what just happened there.
That's anyone.
Either way, the Gemini's broke, and you can see he's got a bit of frustrations about that. They're going to see if they can try and lob a grenade round to the player on the backside as DCH just pulls himself further forward, and Rafal pulls him out of the game. Quick swing round in the cover on the window. Now it's next onto Napier, who is just peppering as much as he can through the gym window, fighting over the top, drops Rafal, wants to go get it locked in, but no, actually just escapes because look, in the meantime, Alems has been able to secure 1 on the opposite side. Brede 1 for himself, 2. And suddenly, as that fight was going on, BDS exploded all over the shop. Now, with all the time that they've got left, are they going to be able to get him back up? Shaiko is obviously still above, but there's always the concern of the positioning. Alems is waiting. They have the track, have the drones, have some repositioning to be able to do as Rafal does get picked back up. It's a 3 versus 2 situation on a Giri. Rafal and Alems, they're not too far from death, though.
Con6 used, I believe, to open up one of these windows, and now the strip push seems to be coming in. Brede gets the very first kill, and Lems is taking the second gunfight there, but Shaiko swings in, and a very clean round from BDS, I think we can say, after they have struggled a lot. This is more like what we are used to be seeing in our daily European League games, where they just find a way in, they just open up that site, and suddenly they just take it with storm.
One of the things about being used to BDS, which to be fair, at this point, everybody watching International Siege probably is they're a very noisy team. They're very energetic on the comms, and not too much in the guise of popping off and gesturing to their opponents that we'll see from a lot of teams, but more in and amongst themselves. It's a lot of aggressive French words spread between each other to make sure that they keep themselves passionate and on project, and throwing off that mentality, which has obviously occurred over the past week. For them, I can see it how it's a reason why they would struggle, because as soon as you stop communication on any team, things can get away from you. You stop it on a team that uses it to drive themselves, and the performance is already in the dumps. That performance is already off the board. So them being a little bit noisy, a little bit aggro, that's the conversation that they've had with the coach yesterday and said, we need to get our heads back into this because that's all we can do.
And of course, Bios did his best to, you know, elevate the mood there. But if you take in such a hit right before the tournament starts, it's very difficult to get into it. And you can almost say the same about TSM, of course, when in Mexico they weren't able to play with Merc. Also suffered similar kind of issues. Luckily for BDS, they had that time to fix it. They didn't have that break day when it could have been potentially most needed yesterday. They'll have that tomorrow, so if they do secure themselves for playoffs, they will have that break day extra to prepare to make sure that, because probably in the lower bracket, they will have to make sure that they don't lose any other game afterwards.
Elevate. They didn't quite get the lead in there. Suddenly everybody was pulled apart from BDS players all over the shop. And obviously this is BDS's map pick. This is where they wanted to bring the fight here and to open it up with that aggressive of a take. It was bar. It is for a lot of people an off-site. So now we find ourselves in something they might be a little bit more familiar and capable of. The stretch comes all the way across the top. Nay might be the first to suffer a bit of an incursion here as they're droning out CC. They're getting this steady across the top control. You've got the combination of obviously Shaiko on Alems just on the shoulder here. They're doubling down and driven by a drone, I believe. Brede is the one far off in the support, and there's an escape, but they're just wasting as much time as possible here.
Just trying to hold BDS back for as long as they possibly can, because we are at that bottom floor, so the more time you do manage to waste here, the better it will be when the actual event end of the round will come through. Shaiko, however, now aware of the fact that someone is inside logistics. Alems is putting up some pressure as well, and they will be jumping down the stairs. The question will be, is someone watching? No, there is not. And they will be able to make it back to the side. BDS have taken the top floor under control and now need to work on that very first floor. Of course, still with limited time remaining, and I believe that Onigiri is indeed hiding inside the strip club.
Well, Alems has found him. He's going to funnel his way a bit further down. They still have eyes into Lounge as well. Elevate's trying to waste as much time as possible elsewhere, and the first fight goes away from them. The second, too. Ninkyu and Nerix are able to get one apiece. They're stuck just there on the pre-placed and punch-prepared castle, and Rafal, he takes a huge amount of damage, but is able to get himself away. Renshiro hasn't quite been able to have a tournament performance that, to be fair, we've seen from him before, but if there was a time for him to return to that Tour de Force form that he's often been able to display, no time like the present, 50 seconds, 2 bodies off. They've also obviously lost a lot of their clear there in terms of utility. They've lost a lot of grenades as well, so it's just going to see if they can sort of throw themselves down with the remaining one.
For sure, Renshiro needs to come in close. So does Brede. DCH right around the boiler. Nay around the corner. It's the first one to come in, and it's a double kill on the side, and even a flawless round for Elevate to lock it off. And with that, the first flawless is on the board. Elevate, they fight back here on Clubhouse, and we stay equalized for now.
Yeah, they got a little bit funneled in there. It was a great play on the top floor, and I think, as you said, the positioning on the main stairs wasn't quite there, ready to punish Napier. He was able to slip his way out of logistics after having almost three players by the end of it trying to get him. And it's that not being able to capitalize upon that loose play and not being able to take at least a body from the minute and a half that they're dedicated towards getting them out of there. It was a cost, and it was a cost that was paid, because as soon as they tried to drop at that point, those players who are wasting that time, in a way, their life can be at points forfeit. So they're willing to stick around a little bit longer, take a fight on the middle of the floor, which as soon as you start dropping down, when you realize you've got a minute left, it's easier for them.
It definitely is, and with that, they made perfect use of that time. Managed to bait some of the BDS players to walk right into their traps. And if you think about it, an easy way would have been just to repel someone up on that hallway door, the main stairs hallway door. Let them hold it from that angle. You're going to be able to pick up one, maybe even two kills if they try and rotate back. But, you know, just these small mistakes. They happen. Nothing is lost yet. It's map 1, we're round number 3. It's still equal on the score here, 1-on-1. And with this, you know, it's still to be figured out whether or not it's going to be a defensive or offensive side here on Clubhouse, or a 3-3 split even, which is also very likely.
With the setup here, you're looking at a lot of play against angles and ideas of Intel. They've got themselves the mirror window, the extensions, which we talked about before, where you can either set them sort of into logistics, looking across construction, and you can double that down with one in the small box rotate, or you can have one looking out towards Jacuzzi if you expect the push to come from there. It seems like they've gone with that standard traditional one-on-one, one on the showers towards Jacuzzi setup, and that means that they're going to try and isolate that play around construction. Rafal, he's going to start by trying to burn open a big door here with the backup of Brede on its way. With Narek sitting at the top of red, it means that they've got to try and pay some attention potentially underneath, or they might just see if they can swing a grenade round. Drones first, as they're just trying to build a steady idea of Intel. One loose player is all the way down inside the basement, waiting and steadily making his way. Napier is in a position to maybe do some damage later on. 2 grenades, neither caught.
Rotation being made to get into CCTV in the meantime as well, as Nay is looking to sneak up onto that oil pit, hoping that he's going to be able to strike through and pick up 1 or 2 of these BDS members. Grenades are being tossed in as well. That might just as well hit, but DCH manages to wall back just in time. Narek still the first to fall. However, it's a double entry on the side of BDS, and with that they can now start pushing towards the actual side. It's only 2 men standing, as Anagiri and Sapper is the last 2 defending the line and the site for Elevate. And with that, they're facing the full 5 of BDS.
It was sudden. It was a sudden burst around the corner, and obviously, as I said, Renshiro announced the day to show up, and being able to lead between 2 kills is the performance that starts to become one that you look towards there. There is that sort of dedication, that drive, that pace and clarity that they didn't quite have before, and now the pressure starts to come onto the 2 remaining players. Seppa is trying his best to hold onto logistics, has some cams and some popped around, but as the mirrors get opened up, that space gets smaller and smaller, and those rotates get tougher and tougher. There is a player underneath as well. They still have the potential to swing their way around. A great take from Sapper, drives himself closer, tries to retake logistics, but Renshiro could go wide here. There it is, popped off, popped around, picked back up. Renshiro has the trade-off, leaving the solo player on the backside of Showers, just at the top of the brick stairs. Onigiri wants to isolate this single firefight. A 1 versus 1 goes his way. Now it is just a remaining 2 versus 1. Rafal has the diffuser. Gonna see if he can get the plant with the cover just behind the safety of that solid box. They're baiting the fight either way. Onigiri! With a huge clutch, goes massive.
A 1v3 clutch coming through right there. He isolates the one onto the stairs. A 2v5 in total coming through from the side of Elevate, and BDS unable to lock it out. The shotgun first, going for that blast. Not punished quick enough, and afterwards, it's the Alda that comes in right here successfully. Sapper, first the SMG burst, the shotgun right after, and then 3 kills with the Alda. Elevate, around that shouldn't have been theirs, they managed to steal away.
A 2 versus 5 clutch. A huge play. As I said, it's not entirely over, but it's not exactly easy. And, well, they still made it look quite smooth there. The 3 versus 1 at the end as well. He isolated the 1 versus 1 fight, as I called at the top of the main stairs, and that is entirely the right thing to do. And if anything, it's also what Sapper tried to do. He pushed onto 1, took that fight, and then pushed deeper and deeper and was able to find the next.
Yeah.
Was traded out, but still, that bold sort of play, that maneuver, otherwise you're just a sitting duck and you're waiting. There as well, to swing around onto Jim, he was able to get that fight against Renshiro, who swung around and tried to get the 1 versus 1. There was probably a call. He's coming on this side, and, well, at that point, you know that your plant is not really protected, and you need to offer some protection, because otherwise the round's ticking out anyway. He goes, it's gone anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Didn't quite know where he was until that kill came through. All right, he's on those back stairs, but there's still 2 ways he could go, and you're just a single man. You cannot cover everything. I'll put some quick highlight towards the mirror window here that has been placed in the middle of the CCTV wall. There will be Bandit Warriors, or an Electro Claw will be placed on it, but so will the Aruni laser gates. Now, those will not show up until that mirror window gets opened up. That is when those laser gates start showing, so they really need to get rid of the mirror window. Otherwise, it's just going to be utility on utility on utility that keeps on showing up, and the Sapper takes a small amount of damage. It's on Renshiro, who's repelling right behind, trying to provide some cover here for the rest of his team.
Renshiro, as he said, he's bleeding bullets towards that back line. It's Onigiri that goes down inside Sok, though. Shaiko's underneath, and he has a couple of grenades in pocket. A dangerous play, and that's exactly what he's going to try and lead into here. The first connects with nothing. Thought he might be able to catch somebody behind the bomb chassis, but as he starts to spray through, DCH is sort of saying, well, I'm over here, come cause problems. Shaiko wants to escape. He's going to see if he can get himself a rotation round to the opposite side and maybe try and catch that problem player Jaeger, or at least limit his options. But he's already upstairs. He's found his way to Jim. He's long since rotated, a bedroom even, and being heavily droned. Alems had the call there, and it's just the concern that somebody else might be trying to play the same game.
Exactly, and as they now try to open up, Rafal to potentially get a grenade in, or at least a line of sight. Oh, even a walkway will be in the end. They need to try and challenge the Raptor. That is the most important part here. You need to get that garage control if you want to be sure that you can take a plant eventually. The issue is the cam is still up. They know exactly what the plan is, and they know Rafal's in sight now. The yellow pings are still coming out, and with the player still on top of the rafters, Napiu, he's going to be trying to pick up a kill himself right here to ensure with the Nitro that is being tossed down that he will be bringing it back towards equal numbers, but instead he takes some damage and doesn't deal much instead. That's a good kill, and the diffuser dropped as well, though, so at least he still managed to get something out of it.
Finds a huge fight. That grenade bounces not quite close enough. Napiu still standing. That's 2 that's gone his way, but Rafal just takes the gun and the firefight to lock it off himself. Goes to recollect the diffuser, presses the right button. We've seen that mistake happen a couple of times this game, but DCH, he's coming up oil pit, and he just doesn't quite get the solidity against the Lems, who's still smashing his way up the stairs, but it's a concern. 40 seconds though, and look at the main wall. Rafal is steady, burning his way across it. They're making sure that they can try and get some of this plant protection and cover. The mirror window makes it a little bit awkward. It's the most precise art he's ever had to do in this short space of time, and with Nerix watching, with still 2 C4s in pocket, they know it's going to be a bit of a dicey timer anyway. They've still got to bait out a little bit of utility. 20 seconds. Alems is going for a bit of a long cover. Shaiko's going to drive himself through, see if he can pick a fight instead, but Sap is able to find 1, find 2 over the top, and DCH punishing from the gap. There's one of the pops of the C4, a big rotate in a handful of seconds, but there is still that cost of that mirror. Renshiro has the cover. Rafal's got a plant. The C4 doesn't go all the way through. He's on the close corner. He's got a split push coming either side. Elevate just got the man.
They heard it. They knew that the plant was coming down close, and the cover was there, just not good enough. You saw the shots there in the kill cam coming through. Took quite a bit of damage, the Mira did, but just quick enough to actually get the injure onto the planter of BDS. And with that, the round towards Elevate as well. And the tactical pause will be called because they keep on getting these openings. It keeps on working out for them, but in the last couple of seconds, it's Elevate that keep on fighting back.
Church and Arsenal. We rotate round, and it's a tactical pause here for BDS to talk. The conversation has to be one that they've got to have right now because, as we said, every round is precious for them. They've got to keep their heads in a spirit and a situation here. Although it doesn't really feel like it for everybody. For them, it's a one-series elimination setup. The other 4 days, they're kind of a write-off in their books, and they've got to make sure that they can hit that home and give the performance that was sort of built up to and promised. Elevate in the sort of game that they've got so far. It's been pretty well put together. They're keeping a cool head. They're able to play against the sort of pressure, and I would say outside of one round that was a huge clutch that was fantastically played and put together, they've generally on their round wins had a good amount of control. They're playing these problematic positions, they're sapping and taking away from BDS's time on the approach and making things a little bit uncomfortable for BDS on their map.
Yeah, that first round we saw, that is the BDS we love to see how effective they were at clearing out the bar. But ever since, Elevate also realized, right, the bar is not going to work. We tried to throw a curveball at them. They punished it to perfection. So let's just go for somewhat more conventional siege. Church, Gym, and CCTV all won by Elevate. And even though in 2 of those rounds, BDS did manage to pick up an advantage, a big advantage, it was Elevate that in the end was able to play with the time, was able to get these clutches to happen. As a result, BDS now 1-3 trailing. But even if BDS pick up one more round, that means that this first map isn't over yet.
That's entirely it. It's far from over, obviously. We're still early on doors in this game, in this engagement. We're still looking at how we might be able to grow into this from the side and say BDS as well. There is always this moment of them to sort of turn it on. And to be fair, it's a little bit of an oddity to see them take attack timeout. And I think that says more than a lot, for usually they're a team that opts not to. Usually they're a team that even when things are going away from them, they'll quite often hold on to that attack timeout and believe their conversation to get it. But I think more now than ever, they need that extra voice.
That's it, right? Like, they have had a pretty bad tournament due to circumstances. And right now, this is the most important game they will play on the entire Six Invitational. Because if they lose this one, that's their Six Invitational. That's it. It's over. So they need to make sure that everything goes well. And if an early tactical timeout is going to be the difference maker here, because in that case, Bias might have something to say, some last pointers to give, which would secure them rounds, then we might find ourselves into a bit of a better position for BDS. Either way, as we head back towards that bottom floor, the top 2 floors need to be cleared first before the basement will be attacked. Doesn't seem that there is any roamers out there on the side of Elevate right now, but it can always change. So Renshiro puts up a Claymore just to make sure that if someone decides to climb these ladders, they will be blown into pieces. Whereas the rest of BDS is currently active on the other 2 staircases just to ensure that no one will be making their way back up. This gives them the freedom to start opening up. The Excaliburs will be used, the Sledgehammer will come into play soon as well to open up some verticalities and to truly set themselves up for the attack. A lot of time is left on the side of BDS. They have done a lot of work already, so they're being really efficient here.
I mean, they know the pace that they need to set, and it's a pace they've actually played with before, and you know, that opening round was great. They've had moments of greatness, but obviously pulled away from them by a clutch on a round that really should have been theirs. They know exactly how they need to get it. They just cannot quite find that lockdown. They cannot quite find that last step. Still, with only half the time gone, they're putting pressure now onto the site itself. 3 drones roll, and you hear what sounds like a C4 prepped somewhere. Whether that was just a missed catch or not, it was just buzzing. There it is. Underneath kitchen, and Lems is in a bit of danger. Sapper's waiting for the right time to pop it, and it's probably going to happen sooner rather than later, whether they're getting a call on the positioning or not. There it is. Perfectly played there by Sapper. He waited. And Sapper picks a second. Shaiko on the door, locked out. Can't quite find his way around. Swung and lucky to escape there with the grenade throw. Rafal is able to just keep himself going. He's concerned about another swing happening his way as well. But BDS here, they have been shut out of this church push.
And with that, Elevate is starting to get closer and closer to confirming themselves to get out of the group here. If they manage to pick up yet another round, they are doing some good work here. That grenade. Still going to pick up Nerix. He moved back just in time. Not the right time that it was kicked before, so have to go back a little bit there, but instead just gets swung on. Nerix takes that kill, and that leaves just Bride and Renshiro left. They could call another timeout to come through or try and win this round, and as Renshiro gets the very first and Bride follows it up, it is just Nay and Sapper afterwards who both pick up those final 2 kills and Elevate win yet another round.
Smooth sailing for Elevate there. Their defense was well put together. It held. Obviously, the catch with the C4 was a good play, and then the drop on the body on the double door of Shaiko couldn't quite connect. with any of the pace and then picking up another. BDS is a little bit blown asunder right now, and Elevate have brought a game that is turning kind of all of these corners around and over for them. Gym Bedroom is where we're going to find ourselves for the final hold here, and well, as you can see, that C4, that play around the end, it was a sort of Hail Mary, pre-fire the angle, but Elevate just set themselves up for the trade.
Yeah, I wanted to provide Renshiro a bit of cover right there, take out someone in blue to allow him to push through. However, was not successful. And Elevate will be able to at least confirm that they have won this half. They just need to try and lock it up even further with a 1-5 scoreline. That is what they aim for, because, just mention it again, if they win one map out of the 3 here, they could play against BDS. They are confirmed for playoffs. That's as easy as it gets. If they win 2-0, they might even still be in the running for a top 2 spot, I believe.
I mean, theoretically, it's also worth noting that obviously Elevate have another game day tomorrow.
That's why. So they should still be in a spot to...
Yeah, if they get the points from today, and TSM don't get any points against DZ or them tomorrow, if Elevate beat them as well,
yep,
then Elevate at the top of the board. The only other team that might be able to join them is Furia, who are 6 points, and they only have 1 game in hand versus Dark Zero.
There you have it.
At this moment, 3 teams have the possibility of ending up on 9 points. TSM have the possibility of ending up on 12.
I'd already on that 9, so they can
and 6.
Chill out a little bit. Or 6, yeah.
I mean, unless you've seen into the future and know how the DZ games.
I am Doctor Strange, after all, according to Bart.
30 seconds have gone. They've been able to start to make the approach here, smash the mirror window out, and just allowed themselves some growth. DCH pops it open and wants to try and play against it, and opening it is that play that forces them into a more uncomfortable situation, but the wall gets blown anyway. We're about to hit the 2-minute mark, and so far it's pressure that's coming down to CC. They're going to see if they can try and take the lead in the fight the same way they did before, because to be fair, the start was great. The end was just where they couldn't quite get that landing to, well, land.
It's the issue, right? They get these opening kills, bring it up to a 2v5, and unfortunately for them, it got clutched out by some great plays on the side of Elevate. There's a couple of different operators on the board this time. No Alda to play with to quickly transfer from one to another, and as that grenade bounces back, it's unfortunate, but Lems is going to be sending one from below, and DCH lives with just a single point of HP, I think at least, but manages to still live, and that means he can still fight, and as the Lems does go down and will be confirmed, it is the entry frag yet once more for the side of Elevate.
Napi able to swing around and get the take on the opposite side. Nerix has dropped himself off as well. He was able to rotate out of red. As soon as that body of a Lems went, suddenly they don't have anybody holding onto that rotate. They can slip out of there without the cost or the damage, and sure, they've been able to take CC, but look at the damage that's sort of been done to not only the pockets of BDS, but also removal of a player. And they've still got to burn their way through logistics as well, which is being held underneath. They have none of the vertical control. They obviously have nothing else on the side itself. They've got to entirely pick themselves back up. There is the player on the left and the right. The first fight goes away from them anyway. Onigiri is able to swing and get one. Bride with a bit of response and revenge, and DCH is hoping he goes unchecked here as the pressure starts to come through onto the gym window itself. Bride, he's held away. The important factor here is the diffuser's in his pockets. Nay's going for a huge rotate now, all the way back up to land that was once theirs and was taken away, but Rafal seems to have a very good idea of it. They know. And they know. Rafal locks it in. Bride is still sitting pretty. 20 seconds though, and that Jaeger is still unchecked. I don't think Bride has an idea where he is, and DCH has the ping. It's going to come round the pocket in just a second. Is he going to get one? Is he going to get two? It's the control, and he finds them! Just DCH! One either side. Renshiro has no time to try and drive himself through. The diffuser may as well be in Narnia at this point, and the Elevate players, they're sitting pretty for a 5-1 half.
What a half it was from them. 5-1. They're taking that lead, and DCH, the trigger discipline, he didn't shoot for the first. He knew there could be a second, but actually Rafal was checking his corner and pre-firing it as well. Just unfortunately wasn't able to quite hit the shots, and as a result, we find ourselves, you're going to see it on your screens right now. He checks the corner, he shoots as well as he sees him, but misses the shot. And DCH able to pick up a double kill as a response, as Bride couldn't turn quick enough. And 5-1, Elevate. Looking to make quick work of BDS here today. We'll be going over towards the attack themselves now. And let's see if BDS can hold on, if they can bring it back to a 6-6 overtime.
Elevate have done everything they need to so far, and as we said, just 1 point, Elevate. That's all they need. They could take this map and lose the whole series, and then they're still at least elevating themselves into the next bracket. And as well as how the game is going on the other side, it's pretty back and forth between TSM and DZ as far as I'm aware. Still well within map 1, but at the same time, DZ pull a point and things get very dangerous for BDS. DZ pull a win. Things may as well be over for them. They really need the full 3 from here, and at this point it is looking so tricky. We head over obviously onto the defense now. They've got a full stretch to see if they can try and swing any of this back into their favor, but the last time they won a round was at the very beginning of the game.
It was round 1 indeed, and they've used their tactical timeout as well, which means that Bias, there's not much he can do right now. He can prepare for the next map and just watch his men play.
Oh.
It seems like Elevate is going quite quick into the dirt tunnel here. Nay and DCH looking to go fast, but there's a castle barricade that will slow them down. However, as they are with two, if one swings, the other one can go for the gunfight right after, and the drone quickly will check whether or not there is a player right behind. It does seem to be the case, and they will swing right to the right. If it opens up, and the entry is there for Elevate, and they're in the middle of the side already.
Unbelievable scenes here, and they at least battle back. Lems finds an important kill. You see a leg, you see a leg, you see a man, and Napier is able to get one more. Nerex on the far side. It's DCH behind the bomb chassis. Whose site is this anyway? As Rafal is left as the only one left alive. 4 bodies. They are pretty much all in control here, and Zappa can stick the diffuser as soon as he arrives, but at this point with Rafal cornered inside a small box on Moto, nowhere for him to really go to at this point. In a post-plant situation, pre-fires and catches the side of one, but this gun does not fire for very long, and that makes it so awkward against multiple angles and multiple different assaults. It's not like an LMG where you can just keep taking engagement after engagement and be fluid flashes as well. They also still have 2 frag grenades if they really want to be mean, but 6-1.
The pistol in the end that comes out is going to be painful. But I really like the push, I have to say. They get the drone, they know one is on the hard right. They open up, the other one instantly swings. I said it before, that's probably what they will do. You swing, you have someone ready to go for the fight instantly. And they get the gunfight. Yes, Napier takes a lot of damage, but he survives. Didn't quite know that he was seeing and looking at a leg of one of the BDS players, but as soon as the movement came through, he picked up that kill. And they now find themselves on the map point, a singular round away from being confirmed for the playoffs at the Six Invitational and not being sent home.
It's got to be a perfect sweep. It's got to be a perfect sweep here, BDS. You have to pull yourself into the best performance. To be fair, probably anyone has put on this show. We've seen some comebacks against match points, but a 6-1 with everything pretty much on the line here. That is the cost against a team in Elevate that is so confident. They're so good right now, and that is the terrifying thing, is they've taken all the lessons learned over the past week and whatever they picked up from EU Ranked, as they said in their interview, and they're making sure it sticks here. And maybe that was the danger of coming to Club, because at the end of the day, everybody knows it.
That's it, right? Everybody knows Club, and if you're looking at the next map, that will be Kafe Dostoyevsky, which is also one of those maps that has been around for quite a long time. And I'm just thinking back about the desk, how no one in Europe wanted to scrim them, and they just went ranked instead. And now they're beating, as Medic says, that's where men are made, ranked in European ranks. And now they're beating the #1 European team. In terms of standings, of course, not in terms of this SI currently.
Well, it looks like they're going to see if they can try and burn their way through. So Alem with these claws, they're not going to be able to have the full effect that he might have otherwise wanted. A little bit late to catch the explosives that are put through on the top there. The Habana is going to be a bit of a steady on, and the Maverick is just going to have a bit of a free wheel here. Just going to get it all locked in and try and crack the whole wall, and that puts the claws in a little bit of a, well, they're already placed situation. Ranchiro's keeping Lounge clear, keeping it a bit safe and making sure they don't have the entire bleed through. DCH is keeping a keen eye, so ensure that nobody just tries to swing against the Maverick, who isn't quite finished.
Oh, where is the point that he doesn't have? There it is. It's opened up. And that means that the breach has been opened up. Step 2 of this attack will be to take Rafters control. That is hopefully where they will go for next. Rafal currently playing in that position. There's an easy way in. Grenade over the top, getting the kill, and soon they will find out exactly that he is. I believe that is Q2 or panel 2. Depending on how you want to call it. They now know. Red ping coming out as well, so he knows he got spotted. Just need to get someone in a position as Alems gets the very first kill. It's Onigiri that gets picked up.
Yeah, they're watching it from the two different sides, but you need to force that player. They're not in a position there to rotate out. They're there to die, and you've got to try and force that. It's doing a bit of a dance either side, put some damage into the Maverick as they rotate round underneath, but this is a lot of time passing, and Elevate of going to have to find an alternate way through. Obviously, that Claw has been able to stop that Hibana, making that an easy entrance here, but there's still the pressure from Lounge, potentially. There's still that body and that danger that might be dancing underneath, just to give Rafal a little bit more of that cross support. And as we pass the minute marker with nothing else clarified as of yet, the pressure of Mantle is on Elevate.
Grenades being sent in. There is no ADS that could stop it from coming through. So if it's cooked, oh, there is actually one in the corner down there. So they need to at least get something tossed in because this grenade will not be able to catch him. A little bit of damage will be done. He will be distracted, but the ADS will be catching it right there. Nade gets injured as well, and that means that there's no more nades left on the board. Nerix at least gets a kill. There's still pressure coming down from that bottom floor of the garage right here as Nerix tries to work into blue as well. Repels all the way up, but gets his head clean taken up right here. It's a double kill for Shaiko as DCH fights back, finds one, but not Shaiko. He gets 3. And BDS, they live to fight another round.
Every round, every single round for the next 4 at least is going to be do or die for BDS right now, and they've got to try and turn it on. Obviously, Elevate still have their time out if they want to take it. They still have the time to break the momentum if it starts going away from them, but to be fair, that was 1 round. And that was obviously the first site they've been able to hold. They've already taken Church with an aggressive fashion, and they assume they might be back there anyway. Next up is Gym, though. Next up is a little bit more rotation. They don't feel confident heading down to the basement as of yet. They're instead going to see if they can go for the full stretch on the top floor here. And to be fair, we started to see some of those sparks. The sparks, in fairness, we saw on rounds in the first half where they didn't entirely have the end story. The swap to the Monty. They think they might be able to muscle their way through here. The change against the Maverick instead on the bait of play.
Yeah. Monty. It's going to be interesting. See how they will use that one. If they'll go straight for a jacuzzi push or if they want to, you know, send them all the way from the bottom of the garage, all the way over the rafters, into CCTV, cache, construction, into the bedroom, just to clear out everything. The long way or the short way. TLDR, that was. And Elevate, they just need that 1 round. Let's hope they don't suffer from the same fate as Cyclops, where they managed to reach map points, then forget how to play Siege. Just putting it a little bit harsher than it was.
Well,
maybe not.
I mean, it's just worth stating that these comebacks have happened before.
They have happened.
The point is,
that's it.
Elevate needs to keep the pressure on. And to be fair, the way they've been playing so far on their defenses was very well put together. And that attack, that first one, was very sharp. It was creative. But they have to make sure that they don't suddenly turn off. They have to make sure that they can keep the pressure hot because BDS are going to potentially warm up. They're a great team that have been dealt a bad hand over this tournament, but it doesn't take away from the fact that they're a great team. And those are always moments. Everybody's here for a reason, and it's because they're pretty good at Siege.
Yeah, you can say that. They're pretty good at it. Heartbreak charges will be used by the Monty to open up and create some lines of sight, so at least he can now sneak in. Not in a standing position, so he will have to drop that shield, which is the dangerous part of what he wants to achieve here, so needs to get some cover probably from his teammate. Seems like instead he's going for the drone, trying to figure out where these players are. All right, that's one on the shield. Checking around the corner right here. Seeing a leg, seeing one on the table. Okay, that's 2 we need to deal with. Let's see if we can flush them out as Lem's actually on his own. Will actually rotate out. Doesn't even have to be forced to.
Well, there's the Monty, there's the swing round and the reveal. They're not going to dig themselves too much further right now, but you can see some movements about to come up the bottom of red. They're going to see if they can try and twin some pressure. There's ADS to be burned, and that's what Rafal's keeping himself a bit curious on as the Jackal goes for the ping and gives a bit of a reveal. Trying to fight himself down 2 stories. There was some pressure and some element of revenge as Napier gets himself knocking on that CC door. More explosions, 2 in fact. Rafal's able to survive both, but it's the final spray that locks it in. The C4 catches Napier, downs him, but instantly the trade comes out on the side of Nerix. They have a ping that he's down, but they know that there's cover. So Shaiko cannot truly go for it. No! Loses the fight there against Nerix, who's able to take his head off, and now Nay is back to his feet. He's back putting some pressure on. He's a Mountain that's slightly injured, but a Mountain nonetheless. Renshiro gets 1.
Oh, that's a nice night. The C4 came through from the construction, actually managed to pick up Napier as he wanted to go for the drone, trying to figure out if there was someone right behind the mirror window. At least he found out, yes there was, because the Nitro came through from it. And that leaves in a 2-on-4 situation now. 35 seconds on the clock. Brede taking care of these drones, hopping back right behind the mirror windows, and that is their biggest help right now. These 2 mirror windows, you need to keep them in the game.
That's it. The pressure's coming onto Renshiro first, because as soon as they get Renshiro, then that means Bride's in danger of the construction door, and that's the tricky situation he's in right now. He wants to hold off here against this first fight, swings and finds it, but it's a 1 versus nobody. The first map is Elevates. They are secured out of groups at this point with 4 points under their belt. They are out of reach of BDS. But they are still potentially in contention for the top. And BDS, depending on a DZ result, are still potentially in this. But that window, that little needle's eye that you need to fly through, it got smaller.
It's getting smaller and smaller with the second, and you see it right now on the eyes of BDS. Shaiko, a bit agitated, or at least emotional, talking about we need to change things up. It's not working out currently. We lost 7-2 in a map that we were expected to win, in a game that we are expected to win by many. Of course, their tournament hasn't been the best. They've had the ups and downs, or rather downs and a small up, but followed up by a little bit of a down again. So they need to make sure that these next 2 maps will be going their way. Otherwise, we have the first elimination of the Six Invitational locked in.
Wow. That is it. That is what hangs in the balance, and that is the hand that we have in front of us. And that's the only real way of putting it, regardless of the reason that we hear this is where we're at. And this is what both these teams are aware of. Elevate probably elevates it. We'll have to find out if they can lock it out or if BDS are still fighting after this quick break.
Hello everyone, my name is Pramin Swamatana. My in-game name is Onigiri. I'm from Team Elevate. I'm a captain of the team. And my role is fragger. Our team have a lot of role changing, and everyone on Twitter keep complaining about it. And yeah, but we do what we have to do, because like if we keep going with the same roster and we cannot fix our problem, I think the roster change is gonna help the problem that we cannot fix. My team feel like they brought off their role and they just want to go frag, and then okay, then fragger becomes support and support go frag. Yeah, that's kind of our team, and so that's what we usually do to the enemy team. They cannot expect what they're gonna get from us. When we arrived at the Sweden, I was looking for Scream, but no one want to Scream with us. I don't know why. So yeah, we choose to 5-stack ping rank. I think we are prepared for the EU team. Yeah, I think we're ready for the SI. We are very excited because in 5 years of Rainbow Thailand, Rainbow Six history, there's no Thai team that make it to the SI. Yes, and we are the first team. The first expectation is we make it out of the group stage and we take it step by step. We'll see in the game day. The team that I'm most afraid of is Furia and BDS, because they're a great team, and I fight some of them on rank, and yeah, they're pretty sharp. And BDS, of course, they are the best in Europe. I don't have a message for my opponent, but I have messages to the community. So love each other makes community better.
Welcome back. Welcome back to map 2 of this best of 3. And for BDS to not be the first team eliminated from SI 2022, they have to win this, the next one, and hope DZ leave with nothing.
And that's the point, and I just heard that the score on the other one was quite close. So who knows, maybe in about 10-15 minutes we already have our first team eliminated, rather than after this map. It's gonna get tricky. It's gonna get dicey. There is still a chance, however, for BDS. Their true last stand begins now, I guess, then we say. Even though we thought it would have been an hour ago. But Elevate able to come out swinging a 2-7 victory. Looking at any of the further stats, 4 and 5 on entry. Quite close, actually. Elevate having the 1 extra over BDS. 1 extra plant and 1 flawless round that BDS was not able to put on the board, even though their first round was quite successful.
I think that's it. There were moments where BDS looked pretty sharp. The KD differences, the sort of overall averages, there's not the hugest disparity between the two teams, but it's that cost. It's when these things were connecting, it's when these things were hitting these marks, is you have this sort of disconnect for BDS's round closes, and there was just this inability to be able to sort of dig in and clutch it out. And obviously all of them are rocking minuses. That means it's going to go a certain way, but with a handful of -2s, a 7-2 is a huge divide.
It is a huge divide indeed. It is not something most people would have expected. But in the end, we find ourselves here anyway. I'm sorry, I'm actually getting distracted right now, but what's going over the other side is hear Tim start screaming. I don't know if someone won or if the score is getting even closer. Either way, there is still hope on the side of BDS, but it relies on Kafe Dostoyevsky. And after that, hopefully for them, Chalet, and as the Elevate players are quickly saying elevate to the top,
all the way.
Elevate themselves, as you may.
Yeah, that is what it means.
Yeah, I know. I know English to some extent. I'm not as fluent as some may be.
Yeah.
Of the Brits and Americans here. And the Canadians, of course, cannot forget them. I'm not here to make enemies with Parker and Jesse. Unlike some.
Your point? What was your original point before I just...
I have no clue anymore.
Have I entirely thrown you off? I'm sorry.
Throw me off.
I'm really
trying to defend myself now.
It was about elevating. It was about them
elevating themselves.
Secured themselves. They've secured themselves right now. They are in.
Okay. He's not being left hanging. He's sitting there.
It's done.
Come on. Oh.
I got you.
I almost gave up on you there.
Yeah, but at this point, still 60% for BDS here on Kafe. This is Elevate's map. It's worth pointing out. Elevate could still top their group, technically, theoretically. It also depends on the TSM result that's coming through. If TSM win, then they are clear. They are secured at the top. Good luck, have fun from Onigiri.
It's the most extensive good luck, have fun I've seen.
That's nice.
It is nice. I'm just saying that normally we just get GLHF, you know, the low effort version of it.
So well, I mean, wouldn't you be riding high right now? You've just secured yourself out of groups. You've been able to
say, you know, they know that as well. They know that they get to stay for another couple of days. 3 at least.
At least.
It depends on whether or not they end up in a lower bracket and get first rounded, or if they continue from there on. I mean,
that's a way of putting it. If they get first rounded, then they'll go home sooner. Yeah, that's a way of saying it. But you know, they've been able to get yourself in a good place. They join a sort of growing list of teams that are secured, and in this group, that's the 3rd team that's secured. Yeah.
There you go, and that means it's only up between BDS and Dark Zero. And then that one clutch that Brede wasn't able to put down on the board in the Train Museum might be more important than you think at the end of the day. But hey, we're headed towards the bar first. Grab a drink and a seat, as we are about to get started with the very first round of the very second map.
Bar cocktail. And as you said, this was actually the site of a recent sort of heartbreaking moment for BDS. They almost won their series against Dark Zero, and imagine how different today would have been if they'd have had those extra points under their belt, or that extra point even. When you're looking at how close it was...
It's also one taken away from DZ.
Yeah.
So it's basically 2 extra points of DZ, you could say.
It was within 0.5 seconds. maybe extra was all Brede needed there to secure the bullets to connect. And it swung around, it was inside train, it was a last sort of gasp swing into a fight, and it was bitterly close. And it was bitterly close when they were playing with BIOS, when they were playing without, obviously, Rafal. So, they are an astute team on this map. They do have experience on this map. They have a deep pool, and when you're looking at where we end up now on the final one being Chalet, I believe. The last one is Showdown.
It is going to be the final showdown if we manage to get that far, because Elevate are on the defense first here on Kafe. It is a map that BDS is quite good at, we dare to say. You know, they managed to get quite some success here every now and then. They just need to find a little bit more here right now, because there is a lot on the line. And even if Dark Zero will win the map against TSM just in a couple of seconds or minutes, they won't know until after their own game. So they will still think that there is everything to play for here, and to some extent there still is. They want to go out with a win at least.
So the start of the approach here, all the way over the top. They're looking to see if they can prep and push towards that pixel corner. LMs hasn't been able to catch anybody as of yet. The Twitch drone is working its way underneath. They're going to get the clarity on that corner bar. Rafal is looking for something, and did you hear that?
No, what was it? I heard something that Medic said, but...
Oh, I did. And that is...
Spoiler alert.
This is a spoiler alert, and this is a pretty big one.
All right.
But this is probably one that a lot of people might want to hear.
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
I'm gonna sit down for this one. You said it's a big one. All right. I'm seated.
Map 1.
Okay. Don't tell me it's true.
Easy to
Is it
map
DZ?
1. Easy to...
Oh, BDS is eliminated from the Six Invitational, and they don't even know it yet, but at least they started strong on this map. It is LMs with the opening kill here to start it off. Grenades are being still tossed in, and Elevate still has a strong backline as well. It's Napew with the Alda that is just waiting, standing by, looking to at least make sure that they make a dent into the side of BDS after they just got their entry.
Well, BDS, I am unfortunate to be the herald here to say that this is it. The road is over, and it was an unfortunate end to a year that was very powerful and promising. They've still got a game to play ahead of them, though. They've still got to play this, their final one of SI, and it's the push down towards the backside of White. LMs is looking for the rest of the fight here with Onigiri already off the board. They have the man advantage, and Nate's in a position to maybe buy it back. That Alda can cover pretty much all the movements he needs to make, but there's a reveal, there's a catch. Perfectly played. DCH was caught out, and they don't try and swing for the refrag. That allows LMs to move his way up. As soon as they found out the body was off the board, they're going to swing in close, pre-fires the angle, and put themselves into the 3 versus 1 situation. Nate's doing everything, but it's not quite enough. The first goes away.
The first goes away, and it's a very clean round on the side of BDS. Some smiles actually on the faces there, but also the focus still being there. I have no clue yet what just happened to them. And they won't know until the end of the game.
BIOS was shaking his head there.
He probably doesn't know. I mean, there's no way they get that information. And they might hear people scream, but are you going to be able to tell who was screaming in that case?
It depends how well they know each other.
That's very true.
If I hear Dez screaming, I'm like, that's Dez. And we often hear that because he's only like 5 feet away.
That is true. But normally we hear Ace screaming. That is...
Yeah, but it's a rocky situation. And it's one of the ones where they've just got to, you know, you'll always have to play your games out regardless. There's always teams that don't make it, and Elevate have put up a great fight today.
They definitely have.
And I think that's the thing, is that, you know, at the end of the day, there's a reason that they're able to, like, sort of put in. And you can never take away from the performance that the teams are being put in. And this series obviously still has its way to go. Elevate, as we said, they still could be contenders for that top of the board, especially if TSM is starting to potentially drop points, maybe even more, as they'll be going in, obviously, to the rest of the series on the DZ side. They might even leave with none at this point. But here's our focus. Here is where it has to cook itself together, and it's going to be the extension underneath as Elevate prep themselves for that mid-floor hold.
The mid-floor hold coming through. Reading is the site. BDS will have to go for yet another attack now. As they're eliminated, doesn't mean that there's no point anymore in this matchup. Elevate still has something to play for. They still want to be in the top 2 at the end of the day here. The question will be, are they going to reach that? A 2-0 victory surely will be helpful. And if they continue like they started off during map 1, where of course they managed to get 6 rounds in a row, and after that 3 KO, Shaiko managed to confirm it. We're able to win that map 7-2. So that also started off with a very clean take at BDS, where they were able to overrun the Elevate members. So if that is going to repeat itself, you might find yet another very quick map coming through. Either way, Utility looking to be taken out here by Shaiko. Is the Evil Eye, the bubble that gets spotted out? Grenades are being tossed out right after. I'm not quite sure. Nope, they didn't have him. Not quite sure where either of those pieces of utility landed in the end. Now it has been taken out, however, so 3rd time's the charm. Proximity sensor be scanning out, but it's not going to be the important part. The player that's out around the corner now has taken the bar under his control is going to be the important part here for the Elevate hold.
That's it, the pressure starts to find its way around here. They're looking for any of the control on the backside. Ney is doing everything he can, but DCH is actually the one that opens it up. Ranchiro gets taken out of the equation here, and they're slightly shaken up, but Onigiri is about to make a very loud sound. That gun does not have the biggest amount of range, but pretty much all the kick that could possibly come through. Ney next off, and DCH with a great take from the top of Lumber. Can't quite escape, though. Onigiri pulls himself out. He's not going to sit around and get dropped as they hand over that vertical control and see if they can find somewhere else. The bubble gets pinged, not popped yet, but Shaiko is setting himself up instead for the fight there against the Ella. It slips all the way through, all the hot intel, and there it is. The gun that goes bang. And it's able to absolutely tear up the floorboards and the player above them, Shaiko, removed.
Like we can open up the flooring, so can we. Using that shotgun to just strike back at the player still at that top floor. BDS will pick up Nerex, however, so that is going to be a player on the side of Elevate removed. Still Onigiri on low HP, has to be very careful with how and where he approaches. One C4 available on the side of Sapper. Flashbangs and smokes are being tossed in. BDS wants to go for a flank, but there he comes around the corner. A little bit of damage done, but not quite enough. Onigiri is picked up right as the stuns came through, and the plant now on the way as well. Sapper needs to try and make something work. A shotgun comes over. There's the C4, but it sticks and it gets shot out. He's in a 1v2 clutch situation right now. Little he will be able to do. Potentially try and stick. Go for the first 5, but he doesn't know. BDS was on the left, right behind the pillar. And it's BDS to pick up their second map.
Second map?
Second round. Sorry.
Whoa.
Oh, Whoa. Second round. No worries. Or a lot of worries, actually, if a BDS fan, because they're out. Sorry, spoiler alert.
I mean, you...
Closure 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've already said that a couple of times. Kitchen service. We head down to, and... let's see if they can try and find something here. Elevate, they haven't quite been able to have the same consistency that they had, obviously, on their defenses on the previous map, because, well, they had pretty much all of them on the previous map. It was a 5-1 on the turn and a half. So BDS have already improved on the takes before, and obviously Kafe is not their map pick, but it's a good map for BDS. I think that's the sort of play right now, is the maps that were in this selection, they generally could have gone both ways. They're generally ones that both teams had some capabilities of.
Alrighty, round 3 soon on the way. The kitchen will be the site, the area where we will fight. Whereas Elevate is looking to find themselves a way of course, pushing themselves through, trying to find a win. BDS is trying to continue their current streak. 2 rounds they have. They're looking for more. They want to take Kafe by storm and put up some more points onto their table. It's going to be their goal. At least finish with a win at the end of the Six Invitational. I mean, they've had...
that's a lot of salvation stations.
That is the thing we need to get the
I think all
US casters to say.
All 3 were tucked in there behind the little half wall. It's a little field hospital, as Medics has just said into our ears, and maybe that's what I'm going to call it. When all of them are together, you have a little field hospital, get yourself picked back up. It's a place where you could instantly run through, and suddenly you are absolutely forced to reduce back to full HP. It's a very quick and strange method of being able to pull it together, but, well, it's a method nonetheless. Alems is looking down the far side from the Christmas door towards pillars. He's going to see if he can try and put an engagement in. Nay is kind of eyeing up the idea of popping it outside, and, well, it's Shaiko opening it up there. DCH is knocked off the board.
Another opening kill there for the side of BDS, and as Rafal continues to drone out, this first floor will shortly be removed of any camera and any living being down there as well. There's of course none on the side of Elevate. Everybody left on the side is, we will call it the field hospital strategy. Still standing, but just a single grenade could just take them all out, which is, I guess, the worry about it.
C4 pops up, no real reward right now. They're going to see if they can try and get anything through the angles, and that's what a lot of this site is shepherding holes and seeing if you can just get the ankles or the toes of somebody a little bit wide of the chassis. It's fired pretty heavily behind it, but Lems can't quite get the proper catch on anybody really connected. Shaiko, in the meantime, is able to make a little bit of work here. Down, finds a double, 4-2-1, and suddenly he started to pop off. He's turning into a little bit of the animal, but only really when it's a little bit too late. Sapper, he opens up a rotation and angle and ducks under the hellfire that's seemingly raining in from multiple different angles. They've got themselves set up with a lot of time. They're knocking on the doors of the site.
For sure. Minute left on the clock, however, that means BDS needs to speed up, and it's exactly what they do. Shaika gets a kill, 2 men drop through that hatch. They want to get that plant in and underway, and it's going to be right behind the bomb chassis. Nagiri rotates back, tries to watch up top, is afraid of any potential verticality to go on the way, but they hears that the plant's going down, and Shiro takes his head clean off. It's only up to Nerix now. Some pre-fires are coming through, and the plant just goes through as a flawless round for BDS hits, and suddenly they are back. Suddenly BDS is starting to shine. It is just unfortunately way too late. And with that, it is going to be BDS leading 3-0 right now as they continue their winning streak here on Kafe. They continue to surprise Elevate, pick up these roamers, lock them down, go for the drop as they realize where the weak points are, and get that plan down. It's the second one in 3 rounds. Even though in the end, of course, the kill came in literally 0.1 second right after, but it counts. And we'll give them that.
3-0. BDS putting in the best performance all tournament so far, and obviously they can still try and pull themselves some points here. They can still try and do some of the work. It's a little bit of a swan song towards the end of it. It's going to start across here on the top. And they knew the pressure was coming into this game, and I think they were well aware that if they didn't lock it off on the full thing, the chances were slim regardless of whether they knew the result elsewhere. Here, Elevate, they haven't quite been able to have the same holes they had before, and whether they're more confident on the other side or not, whether they think that their attack is going to be the sharpness that allows them to fully stretch this map, they are still playing for the potential of all of the points that are on play. They've got the castle hole, they've got themselves with that extension. I assume we might get one, obviously, on that connector between piano. There it is, yep. Excuse me.
Excuse you. Sorry, I'll take over if you need.
I would appreciate that. I breathed in whilst talking.
Okay.
Apparently isn't what humans are supposed to do.
No, that apparently doesn't go quite well if air comes out of the throat and air goes in at the same time. Somehow that doesn't work out well. Either way, as you quickly recuperate yourselves, BDS are looking to go for a bit of the same, you know? They just lost that first map quite convincingly, 7-2. So what do then? You respond with a even better score. They're working towards it at least. It's a 3-0. Just had a flawless round up on that board, and as they continue opening up all the windows, taking out all the pieces of utility, currently nothing really that Elevate can do. The bubble at least takes care of one of the Twitch drones. Rafal wants to get a second in, but they also know it's quite dangerous because that bubble can just open up again and just get another zap in. Are they aware of it? Is going to be the question now. Tries to get a zap out on a bit of a range right here. Rafal wants to make sure that he doesn't get zapped right as soon as he goes for it. There's a player out there now as well. That's going to be called out. There's going to be some valuable information, but Shaiko, however, gets down and confirmed. And Sapper gets the entry for Elevate.
Well, there's that Maestro cam gone, and there's Onigiri still playing inside this very aggressive position. There's the reveal of Rafal. They're pinging absolutely everything out, and they finally have the connection with the player inside. There is still one lurking just underneath in Zulu currently. They might be able to rotate themselves into train if they wanted by the looks of it. No, instead they're opting for the pillar side. The swing up potentially to the hatch, but the drop drone and the cover means that, well, their cover's gone, so they're just a bit of a waste of time, and they can't quite get that full swing. They've just got to try and waste the time. Breeder over the top is burning open some openings there for Renshiro to be able to bounce that back and take care of any utilities just behind the chassis itself.
For sure. Trying to push through right now, and the Twitch drones come in as well. See if there's any more utility that Rafale's going to be able to get rid of. But the Switch drone gets taken out instead. It's a 4-on-4. BDS, they have won all around so far and are looking to push through even further. Man in the freezer, man right underneath the skylight, hiding quite well. I believe that is with an Alda behind one of the bars as well. Napiu in a prime position to start striking deep into the hearts of BDS and their fans. As Lems is looking to debate whether or not to push into that wide hallway towards the stairs and the planks and potentially hit from the side. As the drone calls out, it's quite clear no one out there currently, which should allow him to move on.
Lems is going for a bit of a cheeky swing round, finds one, gifted, and suddenly the call will come through that they've been able to take over the top of white. DCH, that was your job to try and watch that now, and as Renshiro locks it off and Lems gets one more, it's suddenly BDS absolutely swarming that site, taking it and taking their 4th in a row.
All the pressure is off. They might not know it, they might do, and I don't know. But suddenly BDS plays so well here on Kafe, and we have a tactical timeout to be called by Elevate. Of course, no, they are confirmed, but they still want to get as many points in as they possibly can, because that way they will find themselves potentially in that top 2 at the end of the group stages, which of course will be tomorrow. BDS is the only team that will not be playing anymore at that stage. At that time, might use the time actually to scrim some more with the teams that are still here, as they wouldn't pose a threat anymore to any of the other teams. And they can get some good practice in, some international practice extra. Maybe not as much as they would have hoped, considering they surely thought they would be able to progress any further. But it's a good start for EUL.
I think that's it here right now. That's the sort of situation we're sitting in, is for all the work that goes into SI, it's a year's worth of work, but there's a year's worth of Siege that is otherwise all around, and you got to prep for what else is coming. And it's in some people's books the full stop at the end of a year. In ours, at least, generally is, but also because it's the first big event of Siege in the year, some people have it as their opener. That trip in February around the world's worth of Siege to see really who is sort of saying 2022, that's our year. That's the year of us. We're going to plant the flag at the beginning, and it's up for everybody else to try and climb towards it throughout the rest of the year. I mean, it's still a statement. Kitchen service is where we're going to head to next. Back down to the bottom, and, well, to be fair, they had free reign of every site. Will this tack timeout be the one that's able to at least get them and net them something on the defense?
They did have the entry kill in that previous round, but not enough to eventually lead to a round. Of course, quickly traded out due to the information game of the Twitch drone, which led to that trade to come through quite cleanly. And afterwards, it's just a 4-on-4. Basically, the round starts all over again. Just both sides lost a bit of utility here and there. 4-0 on the board right now. BDS has been doing quite well here in Kafe. Surely they would have hoped to do that on a previous map, Clubhouse. Willing to close that one with a win. That would have at least kept them in the running. But if we haven't said it enough yet, there's still to play for here on Elevate's side, and so does BDS. They want to close with a win. You do not want to go out with just a single point.
Nay is setting up just a couple of ways to pull the drone game, which, to be fair, has been very, very good. And that's also the adaptation we're getting in the hands of Onigiri. They're looking to see if they can stretch the intel that has otherwise been absolutely razor sharp here from BDS. They've been able to keep hurling the players out of any of the positions and places they've thought they were comfortable in. Solidified and safe. There's a disagreement here from the sides and the guns of BDS. It's a bit of a direct line. The smoke canister to cover the Habana pellets is a little bit clever, but it's the spray through. Onigiri, he's caught them all. He went by the audio. That gives them a little bit of safety and pulls himself away with those wiggly lines. He's up and off and out of there. Will they go for a second? It seems like it, but this time it's an actual grenade that is burnt and burst on the door itself.
Yeah, it's going to be combo on my disc, so unfortunately will not be able to go deep and take out any PC utility. They decide to not actually go for a set of Excaras onto that wall right now. Riz in the meantime, a little bit of pressure coming down from the side of Prep. Nerex now at the rotation as well, looking to put up some pressure onto BDS. And this is the way how they want to play it. The grenade comes in quite deep. It won't quite hit as much as they would like to. Another grenade will be tossed in by the side of Shaiko, right behind the cupcake bar, and it's Nerex with the entry kill. He does go quite low. However, a shotgun on the close range as well. Sepper needs to rotate out soon due to the Excalibur being deployed on his wall. And his fights are coming out elsewhere as well. Zenigiri looking to go aggressive.
That's it. He's knocking on the door here, and he's got the chance of a swing. Nerex in the meantime gets one, and Renshiro gets another inside the site. He's buried himself all the way through. Onigiri, you got to do something sooner rather than later, and you find it, but they're planting. 3 versus 2. They have a little bit of cover here, and Bride is going to make sure he sticks it all the way. There's the fight on Coat that goes Renshiro's way. A triple for him this round alone. And they're stacked up either side. The concern is on Onigiri here. He pops up and gets popped down. Renshiro for his quad here. Driving and thriving all the way for the ace. Doesn't quite get the connection. A 1 versus 1, and the pings are consistent all the way through. But Bride puts BDS 5 rounds up.
And Renshiro 4K. Unfortunately for him, not allowed to go for the ace, but he won't mind about that, I think. As long as he gets that 4K to win the round, it's all that matters. And even though the pings were coming through, there was a pretty hefty pre-fire actually coming down from the Roni there on Napiu. Lost most of the bullets out there. I'm not quite sure how many he had left, if we get to see it. 4 bullets. Of course, it could be enough to get that kill. If he hit 2 of them, he would have been dead. If it was 1 in the head, same thing would be the case. But BDS currently up 5-0, looking to hunt onto a clean half here. And as we're heading back towards the reading room on the side of Elevate, it is BDS who is trying to find that very final round, put up that full 6 as well, and a clean sweep onto the first half. As Elevate still looking for their first. The question is, will they find it in this half or will they find it in the next?
That's it. The drive has come all the way here. Elevate haven't been able to find a single part of this, and will this be a repeat of what they put against BDS on the opening map? Or are they going to do even worse at this point is the kind of question that's hanging over. BDS might look set up and primed to be able to get an absolutely flawless opening attacking half, and it's just that sort of moment, isn't it?
It's so weird, right? The team gets eliminated and then proceeds to go 5 rounds in a row without any trouble, so it seems. It's not something you would expect. But, you know, BDS is looking to hunt for a 3rd map here. They're looking to make this Kafe a quick one and go over to Chalet. We'll find out whether or not they'll succeed in doing so. 3 plants so far on the board for BDS. 3 entry kills as well, 2 on the side of Elevate. And 1 flawless round to end it up with. Currently all the stats in favor of BDS if you hadn't noticed yet by the scoreline.
Elevate, are you going to be able to try and find something else here? Sapper hasn't been able to find anything in this game as of yet, and to be fair, Rafal's not phasing much better, but the fact that Bride has not died at this moment, and I'm sorry if I've just put that curse on you, but you're looking at Shaiko and Alems and Renshiro, especially having performances that they just haven't been able to muster at all, and there he is, Shaiko, popping off once again finding this aggression and this impact on this early game, and it's this sort of team that we're used to seeing play like this that just haven't been able to, obviously, get that going this tournament so far. Alems is waiting for a push over the top. They know that the pressure's coming just on the door of the side itself. Nerex is potentially about to be overwhelmed and absolutely whelmed by everything that might come through. They're droning out the player on the balk above. They're seeing how much pressure they can apply here onto the pillar's wall. It's quad, and it's fortunately muted for them. Will that one be broken open? It will. A bit of width, and look at all those salvation stations. Take them in, because in a couple of seconds,
1 taken out.
1 is gone.
And this is enough to get a grenade around the corner to make sure that that mute jammer will pop and it can open up even further to ensure that that bookcase is no longer playable. Actually, from above, some verticality to come through on the side of Renshiro, trying to find the angle here is Nerex. His position now is completely exposed by the fact that he's being wallbanged as well, as it's a double kill for Alams. 1 through the flooring as well. The side is now in the hands of BDS. Sepper trying to fight back, take some fire all the way through from the pillar side of things. DCH from above is the last man standing. Is BDS going to get the plant, the entry, and the flawless round? No, not the plant, but the flawless will still be there. It's BDS with a clean sweep here on that first half. It is so bittersweet.
It's a bit bittersweet, right? It's not just me feeling that. No, I'm sure it's not just the players feeling that. You can see they're sort of sat with a bit of frustration on their faces because they know that this is how they could have, should have, and would have performed potentially throughout all of the groups. And I know that obviously not just BDS fans, but everybody out there knew that. It wasn't a surprise. This score is a bit surprising on the guns of Elevate not being able to pull a round, sure. But this performance from BDS, isolating it entirely from the score itself, how BDS are playing right now is what everybody expected from this tournament.
Exactly.
And to get it is bittersweet because we get it, we get to see it.
It is there, it's just not when it matters. And that, as you said, it's so bittersweet. It's like, we're casting this right now as well. We know they're gone, they're out. And they put up the best performance of the tournament at that moment in time. A 7-0. I don't know how many we have seen so far in Six Invitational maps. I think we've seen one before that happened. This is about to be putting up the second one. The team that is the first team to be eliminated from the Six Invitational is about to 7-0. A team that is confirmed for playoffs. It's kind of a odd comparison. It's like everything is tilted.
I think that's it, but it is what it is. And that's the moral of the story is everything that is going on right now is the way it is. So we've just got to sort of go with it. BDS might be able to lock out this map in quick fashion right now. They're sort of under the pressure here from the top. Worth reminding you all that this is Elevate's map. They've taken their tack time out after 4 rounds went away from them. They're going to see if they can try and fire the pressure here onto this, their first attack, their first opening. They're getting a bit of an idea of where all the players are, and the play against the Intel game as well. It's something that we pointed towards before that Elevate tried to swing into at the end of that, but here with the Mozzie and the Mute stretch all the way up and the consistent movement that we're getting from the BDS players, they're trying to cause as many problems as possible. The site is down on the ground. We still have players on the top floor. Alems is looking for a bit of an adventure with the Jaeger. He's going to see if he can try and, I guess, cause as many problems, because if he goes unchecked, well, it's just a matter of falling down onto the heads of the approaches.
Definitely is, and he was debating a jump out there, possibly, but calling to go for it in the end there. And there's a bit of an entry from Napew all around the mining engine here. Will be opening up vertically onto the side. This is potentially where Alems comes in. His opportunity to rotate around. The calls are coming out, however, Rafal, his position will be given away. They know now one is inside reading, and as the hunt is commencing, Alems is looking to rotate around quickly to potentially help. It's Nick that will be getting the entry frag. Elevate find yet another. But they need to find more than that. They need to find that round, and with 70 seconds left on the clock and Alems still out on about, trying to find these kills here and there, that's going to be a big risk right here. I believe he might have been spotted out by a drone from DCH. No, actually, it's a different spot to come through onto VIP. As there is a swing in right there. It's Alems that misses the opportunity to go for the kills. Deals a lot of damage. 2 of them now down onto 1 HP as DCH picks up yet another kill as well. It's still not over for BDS. They can still put a 7-0 on the board.
More calls come through. They know he's playing on the stairs position, and obviously Nay is massively injured at this point. Alems is just looking to try and scratch at Sapper, who is even more injured. Shaika goes down, though. In the meantime, it's a 5 versus 2. The first fight doesn't get fully checked. There it is. Somehow doesn't get the connection. Bit of a blow there. Alems couldn't quite find it. Renshiro is just a singular back line, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a 7-0. No, it's not. It's a 6-1. There's still a lot more left for them to be able to do here, but Elevate, they've been able to get the first. It's a matter of just seeing how many more they can thread together here. Can they improve on the 7-2 that was otherwise dealt to them, or can they do even better and lock it out?
That's it. Can they lock it out here? Are they going to be able to bring it back, get to 6-6, go to OTE, and close it out here on BDS? It'll be an incredible comeback. We have definitely seen it before, but still, to do it against a team that has nothing to lose is always a bit different. They play a lot looser normally. It's just a question whether or not they have known yet or not. Elevate, they definitely know they are confirmed, and that might be actually why this map seems to be a bit more one-sided. It's that tension of we need 1 point that has flown off their shoulders. They know we are confirmed. Yes, there is still a lot to play for, but we are staying in Sweden for at least a couple of extra days right here. That is going to be what is going through Elevate's heads right now as well. And where they were a team that no one wanted to scrim, I'm pretty sure they're going to be able to get some appointments in for the coming days. And Team BDS, well, sadly, they will have to look forward towards the European League Stage 1 of 2022, where they hope to qualify for a major yet once more and start their road to the Six Invitational yet once more, as this one is one to quickly forget.
The Rook back once again. We've seen him pop his head up a couple times during this tournament, more than he has recently. He's, you know, it's always down to how the players like to build themselves up. It gives you some protection from the pretty hefty grenade game as one part of this play alongside the salvation stations, but down by Thunderbird you're able to at least potentially pick yourself up. So it's, you know, maybe it's a combination expecting a game style, maybe it's just a way that you feel a little bit more confident with. Otherwise it's still a nice gun in the right hands as well.
That's it. I mean, it is extra XP, HP, not XP.
XP?
Yeah, there's XP now. Did you not know? Oh. I mean, I guess I spoiled it. I think it's coming in the Year 7 reveal. Either way, it's extra HP. You get that nice gun with a zoom scope on it as well, as Rinchiro tries to go effective. But, you know, you also get that mechanic where you cannot be instantly killed by a bullet unless it's to the head. So you always have that DB&O. And the same goes for Grenades as Ney finds yet another entry kill for Elevate.
Lems suffers there. Shaiko's buried in a pretty dangerous spot. Can't quite get the right catch there as Ney's able to rotate their way through and take control of White. Rafala's waiting for somebody to pop their head through, and as the Banshee starts to call out, the drone is already revealing.
What a shot.
Well, Renshiro is coming a perfect take onto that player, and suddenly they've been able to get themselves between two more. There's the back of Kaida. Triple for Ney, who has gone entirely unchecked here. Shaiko hasn't moved, because he's not entirely sure when or where he's supposed to go at this point. They've just been able to clear their way across the top with the drone intel giving it. The call is going to come out. That will give a little bit of a reveal on the positioning potential. And there it is, another takeover of the cams. They've been able to get everything. They should have all of that intel on the remaining two players at this point, stacked up, apart from maybe Shaiko, who hasn't moved yet.
Here's someone walking, knows one is upstairs. If he stands up, he can just take a head clean off. It's a C4, however, that does it. And that is going to be, look at that, the diffuser case on the ground, up on the top floor with Shaiko still around. And that might actually, oh, he drops where he didn't know, of course, because he never saw it. And that means he will be picked up by Onigiri. He had the opportunity there to play the case if he checked it, but did not expect it to be down there. And that will be another round here for the side of Elevate. They're starting to fight back. It is suddenly 6-2 after the 6-0 clean sweep from Team BDS. And now the big question will be, are we seeing 4 more match points falling away in favor of Elevate, where they push us to OT and potentially take it from there on? Or is this going to be the moment where BDS will lock it out in any of these next couple of rounds?
Wow. Here we are now, technically equal to the amount of rounds the BDS were able to get on the previous map, and they've started to shut down a little bit, unfortunately for them. They haven't quite been able to have the same energy that they had when they were the ones setting the pace here. Elevate. The way that they moved and manipulated the space across the top there. Shaiko missed that early swing over. He couldn't quite get the body on Cigar. He wasn't quite quick enough to be able to get that pull, and instead that player then drove himself and found a couple more, found the 2 more kills either side, and then drove themselves down towards the site itself. It was that tip of the spear that they didn't quite have a handle on. And although Sapper isn't quite digging into this game, if you're having Ney, if you're having Onigiri start to pop off like that, it might turn into more of a consistent problem. It's still just a single round. It's still just a single separation of BDS being able to either run the clock out or run the players of Elevate out, and it just needs to happen on one site for them to get themselves a point and move on to that final map for the chance at taking the series. And at this point, just pulling stuff out of Elevate.
That's definitely it. And Elevate right now, you know, you say Sapper really hasn't been able to get into it yet, but none of Elevate were able to get into it yet in those first 6 rounds. Only now they've just started to play Siege a little bit more effectively, and it seems that BDS is a little bit out of it themselves as well, because if you looked at that, Ney being able to walk in, get 2 kills, and then a third one is just putting his back towards him. It's not something you do see very often from a team like BDS. Now, 6-2, still map points here for Team BDS. If they win this one, we're headed over to Chalet, where they have the opportunity to get their very first win of a matchup on the board. Whereas Elevate, of course, they want to try and bring it back to OT and close it off here to get the full 3 points. That is what they have on the line here.
Utilizing that hefty DMR to pop themselves open a hatch. DCH is waiting for somebody to maybe swing around and try and get aggro on anyone that might be dangling. And to be fair, BDS, they can toy with that game, but they've seemed a little bit placid over the past couple rounds. There was the chance of some rotation, but usually at that point, Elevate's already got themselves in a position to watch out for it, and lock it in. They're steadily droning their way around. They're trying to see if they can get a handle on anyone. The bounced grenade dropped down to remove any of the potential utility. Just hopped underneath, potentially Banshees or Jammers. No bubbles this time, no Maestro in the pockets of them, but it's a caution, and it's a steady bit of slow burn towards that hefty utility.
Now it is that top floor, which means you do not necessarily have to clear out the first and second floor. You could go for a completely horizontal take here, just a little bit of worry, of course, for potential nitros to come through. None of them, however, on the board for the side of BDS, and that means that, you know, the best you can technically get out of your verticality, or from the second floor, is that verticality. But it's not there. There is no buck to use, but there is going to be an entry frag for the side of Nay yet once more. It's Elevate that keep opening up so far, and DCH is about to get a second on the board as Shaiko takes a lot of damage, and a grenade will be tossed in to try and finish him off right there. He will be finished off, not by the Nay, but by DCH's gun instead, and the push seems to be coming in right here. Nay already in quite deep, trying to challenge the freezer. With 50 seconds left on the clock, it's only 3 men of BDS standing.
BDS is locked in right now. Nay with a huge take there across the side of Renshiro. They're popping up to get some revenge, and they find it, but it's just the Lems left, spraying desperately. Elevate with a third in a row. They are still sitting on map point, but that distance has gotten halved over the past 3. They are a little bit more clued into exactly how BDS wants to take this, who haven't felt like they need a timeout at this point, but there it is. They're going to have a moment to talk right now.
All right, calm. They want to make sure that they end this game, or map rather, as quickly as they possibly can. They want to have this map win. They want to go to a map 3. They want to put a win on the board. As we're in that tactical pause right now, Bias, the man who had to step in for Rafale as he was unable to play for a while, is the man who's now standing behind him right now. He was a big motivational factor during those games. He was actually tied for most clutches up until the moment Rafale came back. And now he's standing right behind him, trying to do the best he can from his coaching position. But will it be enough? Always going to be the question. Are they going to be able to lock it off now and then push over to Chalet to do the exact same again? Go for that strong start. Try and lock it off earlier.
I think that's the thing right now is, you know, they just need to find that one. They need to have that one connection, and the energy is low. And I think that's the thing about that sort of setup there. And to be fair, even when they were taking the rounds handily on their attacks, the energy was still a bit low. It didn't have the passion of a team.
Of course not.
Knows they're still fighting for something, and that's sort of that moment is they want to play, and they want to put on a bit of a show. They want to put on a bit of a story about how they were playing, and they threaded together a perfect attack half. You don't have to say much more than that, but locking it out, pulling a win at least, and giving yourself some semblance of a fight on your final day, it's a wave out the door.
It is. And it's an unfortunate one. But there is still a game to be played. It's still a game to be finished right here on the 4th game of the day in the Bravo stream. Of course, the 4th as well on the A stream, which means that this is 7 and 8, or 7 or 8. BDS currently on a map point. Already eliminated. We'll keep on mentioning it for those of you who are tuning in to try and figure out what's exactly going on if you've not been keeping track exactly. But still trying their best. And those 6 rounds, they spoke for themselves. 2 flaws, 3 plants, 3 entries. 4 entries even on that first half. However, at this very moment in time, Elevate has had a total of 3 entries and 3 round wins as well in their attacking house. So they've definitely stepped it up so far. Let's see if they can keep that up. Let's see if they can continue to undermine BDS, their defense, and assure themselves that they could have that opportunity to bring it all the way back from 6. And as soon as they reach 6-4, it's starting to look a lot more likely that they can. Because then suddenly it's just 2 rounds. After that, it is just 1. And suddenly you're into overtime.
That's it, and that's the drive that Elevate are working towards right now, because they are a team that has this ability to throw themselves in on the attacks, and time again over the past couple of rounds, we've seen them able to get into these positions. They're punishing that sort of downtrodden BDS right now and capitalizing on that little bit of energy, that little bit of momentum and movement that otherwise seems to escape BDS. They're stacked up, and an entry might be that big deciding factor. If BDS can get a little bit of a windfall, suddenly they have something else going in their favor. They're not just set in the mud of things being pulled away from them. They can try and drive behind it. They can at least set themselves up for trades. They don't have to be passive, no, but at the same time, they don't suddenly have to be active, and they're able to kind of pull that activity away by limiting the gunplay Elevate have.
They're in the toilet there. Lem is falling back, but taking a whole lot of damage whilst he does. I think that is actually from the player that was inside the little whiskey bar. Now Sapper as well on that window. Gets healed back up by the Salvation Station. You know, and as I said, I took over the can opener term. I really think we should push on the Salvation Station over to the...
We're using it every single time.
I know, we just need to make sure that they're taking on, catching onto it. Just resetting it by placing it down, picking it up again. It's smart.
Medic!
Just be careful to not say the Z, otherwise
he responded anyway.
Oh, he did? Oh.
Yeah. The grenades head over the top. Caught out, Renshiro is able to pull himself further away before a second comes through. They're trying to find that prox, and where is it? Where is it? There it is. First place was shot, but didn't quite get it fully. Under a minute now, though. Under a minute, and they're going to have their angle set towards Lumber on the far side. Shaiko's still putting a little bit of pressure back against them. Nerek suffers, and they're going to see if they can drive themselves all the way across. Hey, there's a man already in Freezer, but he's removed. It's a trade-off, though. As Sapper finds Renshiro in and amongst the mix. Rafal is doing his best to keep a little bit of pressure hot, but it's Shaiko with the pistol from long as Sapper picks up one more. Again, they've been able to make sure that they match their loss with one of their opponents. And Sapper is curious about going up, but he's got the diffuser. That's the risk. Shaiko, he finds Onigiri. He finds the fight across the top. And Sapper is finding a triple. He's still on the board. But it's an ace to clutch the round out and keep Elevate within Kafe and within the realms of getting the full fat 3 points, but only 11 seconds. And a knockdown door there. He's not quite going to be able to get the connection. As I said, it might boil it down to the entry, but it's Shaiko that locks it off. BDS, they at least pull a point. As we already know, it is not enough, but it's something.
It is something, that is it. At least they tried. Let's just put it up like that. And they might actually find out in this little halftime here, where they have the opportunity to talk. Maybe Bias was able to catch up with what has happened, what is going on. And Elevates. Whereas they might have lost this map, at least they are confirmed for the top 4, for the playoffs. And I don't think they really care that much if you lose the map at this moment in time. Yes, of course, you want to win every game, you want to win every map, just like Demon Kia has done so far. But sometimes you need to take what you got. And that is currently, they have that first map. I think the pressure just flew off their shoulders at that moment in time. And they let it get to them a little bit. But getting back into it now, they're starting to, you know, perform again, which we'll potentially see on the third map to come through.
That's it. And it's down to one more map for them as their performance here. We'll have a quick break before we're back with our last showdown for BDS in all of SI. Hi, welcome back here to the B stream. Now, obviously, it's sad news for BDS being departed, so we brought in a lovable face of James Devmata from the desk just to sort of break it down. Are BDS eliminated?
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope that was a cheerier way of delivering the information. Okay, they're gone. They won one map, they lost one map. We can now officially say it to camera because of the results that's happening on the other stream. I'm Fluke, that's Hap. We're about to go into our third map. What is it?
Let me check.
It's Villa.
No, Chalet.
I thought I'd throw you off.
I was going to check. I was like, there's no way it's Villa. I thought it was Chalet, but it is indeed Chalet. Medics in the meantime said it as well, so 2v1, I think we win.
Okay, well, I mean, I knew it was Chalet, because look, I've got it written down right there. I just wanted to throw you off and see if you'd agree with me. There's map summary of the previous map, and it was the best performance BDS have done. But it's unfortunate, because obviously they are already eliminated. They cannot progress at all. It is just taking points away from Elevate at this point. They're going to see if they can get 2 or 1, which could come down to precious points of seeding, because although we have all 4 teams technically secured from this group, DZ, Elevate, TSM, and Furia, there is still the positioning that they might end up in.
Oh, is there now?
Yes.
I'm going to ask a whole lot from production right now.
Okay.
Is it possible to pull up group standings without the update?
I mean, I can tell you what they are.
I know, but
pulling up
it's just so we can show it to the viewers as well, so they don't have to.
But this is without the update.
I know.
They don't. That's fine. That's fine, because I can break it down for you. Because currently,
yes,
TSM at the start of the day is sitting in joint first place with Furia. However, they hold the head-to-head with Furia.
Yep.
So they get that first place. Furia are in second. Both of them were on 6th. Elevate were on 3 points at the start of this day. And then DZ were on 2 and BDS were on 1. DZ have now guaranteed themselves at least 1 point. And they automatically had the head-to-head.
Dev lost his mic cap.
Oh, that's a bit of Dev that we've just found on the floor. They've lost the head-to-head. So obviously, BDS had neither head-to-head with DZ or anybody else above them apart from Elevate. So they needed either 3 points to beat Elevate, which they didn't get when they lost the first map. So they needed 2 points, and they needed DZ to get no points, because otherwise they'd both be joined on 3, which obviously also hasn't happened. Regardless of whether DZ win or lose in the full series versus TSM, the fact that they got 1 point to get themselves onto 3 means that even if BDS win these series, the head-to-head is lost.
How unfortunate that is for the side of BDS. A moment of silence in French for them, as they will not be able to continue.
Is a moment of silence in French different to a standard moment in silence?
Un moment de silence, I think. I don't know. I think the first part is pretty accurate. Yeah. I'm not quite sure if silence is the French way of saying silence. Either way, we are getting underway. It is Chalet that we will see now. Is he going to be elevated, take the win, and pick up an important point for seeding? Or is it BDS that will end their tournament with a actual win as a last goodbye?
I guess that's it right now, because to be fair, the best that we've had BDS play all tournament was their opening half, their attack that led them towards the 7-3 victory there on Kafe. Chalet is a good map for them. It is the neutral territory. It is the place where both teams are going to see if they can butt heads, and this, in a way, means more to Elevate.
It does mean so, indeed. Let's see how this works out. Quickly cleaned up, by the way, because we had our lovely colleague Dev Marta.
Yeah, he wasn't just here for a bit.
Mara, he wasn't just here for a gig. He just came to bring us over some supplies.
He delivered us
instead of the usual way.
Our wonderful talent manager, or one of our wonderful talent managers, because we're lucky to have multiple.
We have 2 now.
I know.
That's because we're so tough to manage.
We're so needy.
Kinga had to bring in support, reinforcements this time. But no, instead of just coming to do a gig, he just tossed a whole bunch of food at us from across the room. Which I just cleaned up. You know, clean desk is going to be a clean hand policy, and let's see how we are going to be able to continue that. The bands are still softly, slowly starting to flood in, and once the last one is coming through, which could be a mirror, indeed it is. It's almost like we know how this game works. I just lost my notes. We're getting underway. It is going to be BDS taking on Elevate here for yet another map, for their final map in the Six Invitational here. And let's see how that will work out. Are they going to be able to end it with a win? Are they going to be losing this one as well? Go to a grand total of, I believe it will be 2 points. Or is it going to be Elevate that is trying to fight for that top 2 spot, which gives you that extra life, which is going to be so important in the end. Because it just gives you the moment, the opportunity to push on and forward. Wine Cellar will be the very first site that BDS opt to play. It's not often a site we see because of the fact that it's just difficult to onion out on, as we call it. To create those multiple layers, to find ways to fall back. You kind of need to rely on your top floor row, which is difficult.
Onioning out. Not much to be done down here, but you're looking at what is in the pockets of Elevate. They've got enough to sort of drive themselves through. Obviously, the thing that makes this a little bit challenging is you can't really have a multifaceted approach. Excuse me.
There you go.
That was some of the supplies. I keep choking this game. Which
is impressive.
Yeah. You kind of have a multifaceted approach. I'm sorry, everybody watching. We're falling apart. Because of the limitations of your reach of utility. Okay, you might be able to open up trench. You might be able to open up on a west main take, but then Snowmobile will generally stay closed because you need to have at least 2 angles. You need to have at least 2 ways in, and you've got to do so much work to get into that position. You go for a Snowmobile take, well, you've still got to try and get that top of blue stairs to give yourself that crossfire, or at the very least, you've got to be able to have some security onto the bottom of the main stairs, the Snowmobile stairs that go up to Fireplace. Here, I guess we'll see which way Elevate believe they want to go for the approach, but Onigiri gets a quick opener there, all the way through onto Fireplace to find Shaiko.
Very important opening as well, as the drone's coming right after. Nerek's using that Twitch drone. Even the RC returns are being pulled out here. Every day, we'll now receive some pressure from above. The question will be how that will work out later. They're just using these Reteros right now to open up into that little side office there next to the hatch. Which might indicate that it could be a way that they want to put some pressure on, maybe even open it up, maybe even go for a drop, and his name is upside down, repelled on the window here, spots a leg. I believe that is the Vigil of Lems that quickly will rotate back out and tries to find a safe way back to the site.
That's it. It was a very early pick on the player. That's that connection in that big play space of Fireplace, and that is all soft above the site itself. It really becomes a power position, and to be fair, you don't just need the room. The room itself is dangerous, but you do need control of above it. You need that angles and those vertices that Renshiro is making sure is locked under his play right now. 11 with those wiggly lines is causing a little bit of stress, but the drone actually gets dropped from above. Pulls himself back ground, sees if he can get that little connector towards the kitchen side and where dining is. Knows there's a couple of players present, but they're still trying to find people. They've got this hatch as a direct line. Are they just going to take it? Well, they're toying up the idea.
Definitely thinking about it indeed, as they are looking to push through. DCH still up on the top floor, but in the meantime, a player on the top of the Fireplace is Renshiro that is holding the door, taking out a drone. It seems like they might be aware of the fact that he's still out there. DCH is definitely holding it, and as he goes off the angle, it's actually the player that rotates through. Do some damage up to Renshiro, but not quite enough to actually get the kill, but it will scare him off for now. Nay, still above the hatch, more damage being done here. Renshiro finally will be picked up, and the Lems will fall as well. Only up to 3 there and fall right now as the smoke and the arrows are starting to come out, start chipping away some of the HP. As he uses those smart glasses to look through the smoke, he's hoping to pick up the diffuser kill.
Said he turned them off because he realized the push wasn't coming, wants to make sure he has charge just in case it does. But look at this, they're just trying to find that last loose player. The pings come through on the side of the chassis, but they don't quite have the connection. There it is though, dropped from above. Onigiri was very aggressively watching that. The grenades all the way back through, and as I said, you don't massively split your push, but at that point, when you've killed everybody else, you may as well just take the main stairs and see what you can find. Elevate, open, with a flawless attack on Chalet.
Such a clean attack, actually. They just cleared everything out bit by bit, made sure that they had everything under control. We're about 0.3 seconds away of actually getting the plan down as well. It's actually 3 things I track. Open and kill, plant, and flawless round.
Those are the 3 things?
Those are the 3 things.
Okay.
Of course, with sides and massive things as well. But
Yeah, I mean, those
quick,
are other things. But...
You know, the quick summary stats I make
Yeah.
yet. It's always funny when you have to check all 3 because there's just a very little box for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I handwrite, so...
That's true. You can just create space.
I think I'm the only one.
I think you are the only one left as well who's doing it on the analog way and the good old ways, you know?
So old. I started writing my notes the other day when I was casting with XR Troika, Ollie.
Oh, yeah?
And when he looked down before the game, he went, "Are you writing in Morse code based on like this?"
All these dots
all
and
the
dashes?
stuff that I do. Based
No,
on
that's basically us who use these tables, pair them, just create them in a different way. So, I mean, I get it.
Maybe he's just so tall, he's really far away. Anyway, you get a clean opener, the cleanest possible, to be honest. Onigiri finding a 4K, but to be honest, look at the positioning that they had at that point. If he wasn't going to get the kill, very likely somebody else was. The way that they were able to capitalize on that opener, great. Where they then went after that was sort of the drive home. As you said and pointed out, they knew that the pressure player was still on the top of that pillar. They had the angles round onto Fireplace, so they restructured themselves. The pressure was continual, though. As soon as they got dining, they began to focus on West Main. They began to focus on Trench and that little corner round onto Red. They had the smokes, they had the Capital bolts just to force some position, but in the end, it just forced them into the player above. Onigiri was the one that locked it off. And Nay, very early, twice, BDS, and as Medics tries to find the player for a second there, it's the reveal that it's all sort of happened as a big burst around, once again, West Main, steady droning. They're going to see if they can build behind it. Just going to push themselves further up.
Honestly, I still think that it was just that resurgence from BDS as Elevate realized they have confirmed themselves for the playoffs. You know, it's a little bit of tension gone. Suddenly you can relax a little bit before they're back into their playstyle, which is what they're currently doing. I mean, they started fighting back in the previous map. They opened up strong twice so far right now. DCH is still hunting. A player above the Fireplace gets spotted out, and there's an extra rotation, or at least an angle is being created. Narix opens up the big window as well. Looking to put that pressure down onto Rafal, and afterwards try and hunt down Shaiko is their main goal right now. Rafal, of course, on top of the Fireplace, has the opportunity to rotate into Library, and as an RC Retiro is being jumped in to try and make it explode, it's going to be a camera right there. Oh, that's unfortunate.
No!
All the way back down. Needs to find a way back up. But Sapper will be opening up an extra angle.
Well, they're not going to waste time. They're instead going to pop that from range. And that Twitch drone has finally found its way back up. It's going to go for the ADS just behind the player to see if they can get the grenade out hot on Onigiri. He still has the drive and the idea of the fight onto the back line. It's Brede. And that's always that dangerous backline support player on that supply line. He's crept his way a little bit closer. He knows that there's pressure coming in. Whether he thought that break was below or above, Rafal is smoked out. They're burning through all of that. And the smoke canister on the close quarter. DCH can't quite get it though. Rafal just caught on the slip away with Shaiko being able to pick a bit of revenge. There it is though. DCH pushes aggressively, gets it back, a 4-2. Ranshiro on the stairs, isolated and alone, wants to move away but doesn't have the full safety as Onigiri is holding and held at bay just by Brede.
Smoke left indeed for Ranshiro, just detonated it as well. 40 seconds on that clock, Brede. The backline Ranshiro still somewhat before is being bullied by Twitch drone who goes for a tease or two, or tase or two. Ranshiro still below, drop back a little bit. It's going to be able to pick up one kill, but instantly gets punished and not even finishing off. Narix there, he's able to be picked up right now. 26 seconds on the clock. Brede digging in on a different kind of angle. They think he's still inside the pantry. Not the case. He's right behind the bar, and as Onigiri has that control, some pre-fire, some bangs are coming through, but Sapper, at the moment he walks away, he looks away, he's going to be able to pick up that very final kill. Brede drops, and it is a second quick, good, strong, and convincing round for Elevate. I'm sure that, you know, the little amount of joy there was for the side of Dev when he said that BDS was eliminated, there's going to be even more than that right now.
It's 2-0, and if they didn't know the news during the second map, you know for a fact they know it during the third. And that's the thing, is it's always going to be the weight, and regardless of whether you want to go out on a bang or a boom or not, 1 kill over 2 rounds just hints the possibility that it's that sort of weight. And well, they've still got the rest of the game to play here, and they might still start to kick into it, because at the end of the day, they're still a great team playing Siege, and that's that sort of underlying fact of any of the teams, regardless of your elimination status or not. It's the nature of a tournament, and it's the nature of groups, and you know, it's surprising that we're up to this late on, obviously, with the new system that was in play, the best of 3s and the daily plays across the 4 groups. Yep. That you would have the chance of it. Yep, no, sorry, 4 groups, 5 days.
I thought you might have been...
And we're on the end of the 4th of a long one. This is twice that you and I have been on the late.
Yeah, us on B-Stream guarantees 3 mappers.
It does.
Delays as well, apparently. I came back and suddenly the delays started happening. I'm sorry.
What did you do?
I didn't. I mean, Blue pulled the cable out, you know?
Blue did do that. If anyone was on Twitter earlier and it went down, that was actually because it's Blue, and we have the photo proof of the exact. It's crazy that Bartosz, the meme machine man from our socials, was able to capture the exact.
And the cameraman as well was there.
And the cameraman was there. It was just a massive coincidence. Nay, he's going to start the approach here with Zero, a great operator on Chalet. It's one that is sort of one of the 2 maps that people point to as being a great place for him, and it's because of this area for me. It's this huge space where you can sort of dig those cameras in. The further away from you are, as with anything, the tougher they are to spot and pull apart, and the more subtle things are. And yeah, they have the EMP swing, but at the time, that's not really the only drive. Alems is playing around that top pillar, seeing if he can just try and push back against it. They want to debate something there. They threw it down, picked it back up, and waited for an approach here, but it's the combination of the power of DCH over the shoulder of it.
Rafal ready to go for a Nitro Cell. Doesn't know, however, that DCH already in, so if that does get exploded, Nerix is just about safe now. It's going to be able to pick up the first. No, actually, Alems picks up the first. DCH should drop, so BDS finally starting to show up here in terms of the entry game. The trade comes through, Rafal finds yet once more, and that means is that 3-on-4 execute that Elevate will have to deal with now. Still some players out about on their own right here, and Onigiri trying to fight yet once more. There's a good mind that gets tossed out, and will unfortunately not be able to find anybody just yet, but maybe later on in the round, drones continuously will be taken out by BDS.
Onigiri's trying to knock on the small door and just see if they can put some pressure towards that loose Mozzie that's been causing problems underneath. Rafal has already taken a body and wasted a lot of time, and obviously they've still got to ingress into the site. The fuse is cold, makes things even tougher, but at least they pull one back instantly, almost into a secondary fight. But Onigiri stays standing, and with Nerix there as the backup, it was a wise move to pull away because, well, they still got to get that diffuser, get that kit and try and get it planted inside the site. And with all the limitations they now have, no thermite, no way to breach open, it's just a throw around a very tough and tricky corner. It is going to be dangerous. It is going to be approach here, and they're just going to have to see if they can try and outgun as Nerix actually goes all the way around by the looks of it to Trophy on the far side, potentially with the diffuser.
As long as this pressure keeps coming down from the fireplace area, you might be even able to go for a bit of a surprise here, especially with Shiro going up. Eric's heading down into that trench. Is going to be taking at least some of the attention away from him. That's one head getting spotted out, but not picked up. Shaiko gets that kill, and it seems like BDS is going to be able to fend off the attack of Elevate this time around and put up their first offensive round on the board. Nerix will be ascending these stairs and spotting a bunch of these punch holes that have been created, or bullet holes, almost. It's going to be the Banshee that pops, that at least gives away his position with 13 seconds left. Every single gun is pointed in his direction. Shaiko is going to be picked up very first. The 3 here from BDS. Nerix tries to find 2 more, finds the head. No, he does not. Breed Day gets that very final kill, and BDS win that first round.
2-1. BDS are able to pull a round back. They're able to stop it entirely swinging away, and let's see if they can do better than some of their previous holds, because technically, over the showdown, they've only been able to pull 1 round on their defenses so far. Granted, they only needed 1 on the last map because they had such a good attacking opening. But still, you always have that as a sort of factor. You want to see a little bit more of a test, a little bit more of a further push on this fight. And I guess that's the thing that we're sort of asking for them. We saw the play, we saw the dance and the dabble with it up the top, but still, the fact that we're on the 3rd round now, and that's where they've been able to get themselves to at least 2 kills in some cases, 1 in most, and an unfortunate 0. It shows it's a bit of a slower wake-up. Hopefully that's that fire. Lion is on the board, the combination of control there to try and stop the loose plays that we saw previously. Obviously, Rafal and Alems were both moving and manipulating the play space, with Shaiko getting aggressive and leaning in back against them to get some revenge kills.
As they push through, it is now 1 round for BDS. Elevate have 2. Looking to find yet another win. It will help them more than it will BDS, but of course BDS, they want to start or end this strong rather. Not had the best tournament, the worst one you could even say, in a long while. And to some extent, due to the fact that they weren't complete, it was a big hit on their mental. And unfortunately, they were not able to recover in time. The break day on day 3 would have been very useful to have, but the scheduling, well, that was already set. And of course, not subject to change in these circumstances. It is that 1v2 currently. It is a 1-on-1 on maps, and whoever takes Chalet here today will be walking away the victor with 2 points, whereas the other one will just have 1. Shaiko opens up, gets the very first kill. Yet once more, the entry falls in favor of BDS, and Elevate are looking to try and find a way back in to make sure that they can continue to push strong.
That's it. They've been able to find an opener. They've been able to try and find this, and for one of the few times, Elevate aren't in a position to instantly respond. Naya's dug in underneath. Takes care of the camera to make sure he doesn't get revealed a little bit later on. Is able to go for the slow creep all the way around. It is so close to the site. There's a ping there and a single player through the soft wall. Does he want to take the bang in the fight? No. As they actually move away. Alems has got a ping of his own. And as we see it all lighting up, it's rough ideas of where the intel is, but without the solidity of knowing, nobody wants to be the one to fire first, because what that does offer is tracers. And a lot of players are very good at snapping back against those.
That's it, Ryan. That's often why you don't see players just randomly bang a wall as well if they know someone could be behind it. Might land you the kill. As Nay wanted to go for 1, actually finds it, but BDS is there to strike back instantly, leaves it in that 3v4. Still the player on top of the fireplace. Rafal playing steadily. Rinshiro there to cover, just as Shaiko. Positions where they can easily swap and rotate in between the site and, of course, that top floor. It is Nerix to wanting to hit it next, and BDS is going to be the man to kill to take the full site control. The big question will be whether or not they'll be able to. Minute 10 left on the clock. Elevate, they need to hurry.
That's it. They did the slow creep and crawl, and there's a fight over the top. They know that it's going to come out to that backline player, and there he is. BDS pops up, locked off from Shaiko above. Sapper. Suddenly all that's left here, and, well, not for very long. BDS, they find a second round. They bring themselves back level to a piece.
Shaiko starting to warm up there. Able to pick up a beautiful amount of kills there. And that leaves us at 2-2. You just said it. Round 5 soon to be underway, and BDS, after they got sort of outran by Elevate in these first 2 rounds, is starting to fight back. Is starting to show that they do not give up that easily. Right now, the Wine Cellar will be coming back out. Snowmobile, the site that we saw Onigiri drop a 4K on. Let's see how successful it will be this time around.
I mean, that's it. Shaiko is starting to cook over the past, well, this map and the previous one so far is, yeah, some of the only positive performances he's put in this tournament. And I think that was one of the costs as well, as obviously with how everything went down, it puts them in a bad sort of mental state. It puts them a little bit off position as well, and the players that they wanted to place themselves into when they had to play with BIOS. And having the confidence of no pressure, no sweat allows those confidence-based players to actually sort of let loose, drive themselves in, and the first 2 rounds didn't look that way. If I'm entirely honest, the first 2 rounds looked like a team that had sort of had the bad news, but it's been a week of bad news for BDS.
It's definitely not been the best week for them, no, and they know that as well. I still doubt that they know it, but, you know, part of me thinks they know. Part of me also thinks they don't know, because I don't think BIOS will tell them. He still wants to get the best out of his boys, and knowing that you've been eliminated is not going to be getting that out of them. So I still think BDS is honestly thinking they are fighting for potential survival right here, to some extent. And Napew taking a lot of damage here as the Monty trying to repel up, quickly had to cancel that ID. Shaiko almost picked up yet another entry here.
That is obviously the Monty on the board. A bit of the change here, and there's obviously already partially injured. That might make his life a little bit tougher when you have a C4 in the pocket, when you have obviously the sticky goo mines that might pop out and pop into his legs. Alems is going to be the first face he meets, and that's the most cautious approach really for the Monty, because that is the one that is really going to potentially be the biggest thorn in his side, literally and metaphorically.
For sure. It's of course a direct counter the Legion will be. Especially if you also have a Melusi on the board, eventually start coming through. It's not something you easily get rid of as a Monty, especially not with that shield extended. Nay, just runs through, goes on his drone. Didn't step into any of these goos as of yet, and soon will be able to use that shield to start pushing down. However, the tricky part with the Monty is that if you start walking down, it's not ideal. There's not much you see. And Shaiko just picking up a beautiful kill onto Onigiri right there is again going to be able to pick up the entry frag. It seems like the beast inside of him has awoken itself. It's just able to snap from left to right and just consistently hit these headshots now.
Nay over the top with Rafal getting a kill on the bottom, leaving him more isolated. Renshiro still has this corner fight, exactly aware of where Sapper is, and does a heck of a lot of damage. The single hit kick of that DMR leaves its mark, that's for sure, and that's going to mean things are a little bit awkward for a man who is far from silent. Has the extension, the extra player is on one side. Hey, I'm Rafal. Pops into a corner, gets the knife, and takes care of business. Nerix is on the far side of literally anyone at this point. Sapper's still locked out of a door that, well, he was there last time, and with less than a minute on the board, he's still got to try and find his way inside the building to plant the site nobody has even been close to.
No, for sure. It is in that basement, it is in the snowmobile, but every single member on BDS seems to be off-site here, and Sapper realizes that he decided to quickly check. Is it able to breach? No, okay. Guess we'll just quickly go for a repositioning here. Eric's now trying to push through, trying to figure out where the exact push will be coming from. Takes a small amount of damage. Just playing with a DMR, of course, just needs a hit or two to secure the kill. BDS doesn't have to peek. It's 20 seconds left on the clock. They know where one of the attackers is. The second one has just been taken out as the diffuser dropped as well. So Nerix now in that 1v5 situation. It's a flawless round for BDS. And they lock it off. Make sure that they get another defensive round win. Looking to hunt down for that 4-2.
Well, there it is, another flawless, the second of the game, but this time the first of BDS's. They've got that response, they've got themselves put back into the control of this, and it seems like they have confidence in their aiming. The pace of Shaiko being able to swing to that, the positioning to set themselves up for it and winning their ones. It is an unfortunate thing that hasn't quite been able to happen across any of their games this tournament. They might still be able to get themselves set up for the 4-2 split here, as Kitchen is where we're going to end up. The attack here from Elevate, I don't think they need time to sort of talk about it. They don't think that there's anything too wrong at this. They're going to see if they can pull it even, to be fair. If it's thrown out the window and they find themselves fighting on their defense, well, they're confident with that as well, because I guess it becomes that conversation of, are we going to get the BDS attack that we had on Club, or are we going to get the BDS attack that we had on Cafe?
It's an important one. Don't know. It's going to be interesting to see which one it will be in the end. Of course, one of them was completely flawless. The other one was a bit more flawed.
Almost entirely flawed.
Yeah, almost. Not quite. There was some good things. Either way, it is round 6. It's the last round of the half. Elevate. Are they going to be able to pull us back even after they had a great start to the map? Great start to this game. BDS, however, they found their flame. Shaiko, for example, able to consistently hit these heads, getting the opening 2 rounds in a row also helps quite a lot. And the early openings that Elevate was able to find in the very first 2 rounds have stopped happening as well. The members of BDS are no longer exposing themselves to windows to the outside where the DMR can just make quick work of your head. This time around, they need to enter the building before the first gunfight takes place.
They have themselves slowly approaching Library on the far side. Lems is trying to lean back into the fight itself. Rafal is playing that cornerstone position that previously Brede has been sort of mantled in when the site obviously was down there. Supply becomes a little bit of a back and forth, and when Rafal's been there, he's usually been a little bit more out in the open, underneath the double window instead of tucked into the cornerstone of Supply. Here he is, going back towards it. I was about to say on the move out to his usual positions, but he's kind of happy to sit and wait underneath this big double window. There it is, the first. Brede across the side, across the face and the bow, blows it off and blows the diffuser right out the hands of the approaching player. Nay wants to see if he can swing around on the back, but otherwise slipped through, goes for the catch and gets it. Rafal goes down instantly, tries to find the pickup on the trade, but suddenly it's exploding. Lems with one apiece to keep the balance into their favor. One more, DCH. He steps up and steps Lems down.
Trades continue to happen here. DCH, however, is very close to a Frostman. Might not realize that if he ascends these stairs, he might be caught off by it. But as it's not going to be the actual objective, we possibly see Elevate going on here with a very horizontal approach. It's a 3-on-3. They need to breach, but they can't because their heart breacher is dead. So there's just a singular door they can start to try and push through with some anchor holes in it. So what do? You throw the flashbangs through, you try and use the grenades where you can to get rid of these shields and potentially the players. And after that, the rotate comes through. It's Nay that walks up, but the Frostman has been taken care of, so he will not be picked up as a result. But with 55 seconds left on the clock, it's actually Nerix that will go for a trophy push instead. Seems like two of them will at least try to continue to at least push through that main door as Nerix is looking to, well, make a difference there. I'm not quite sure if there's a Frostmat underneath the trophy window. That could spell disaster. Nope, but there is an alibi, which he will have to take care of, and a serial laser gate.
Renshiro is holding down here. Nay wants to go for an approach. DCH is there at least to either pick up the trade, pick up the pieces, or pick up the diffuser, but he doesn't need to do any of that as they've been able to find the opener here. Shaco on the backside gets a fantastic take against Nerix. Waits for the swing round. No point to answer the call because they're already well aware of where you are, and Nay's able to lock it in. It's just Brede on the back line in a 1 versus 2, but 10 seconds. That's in his favor. Whiffs the first few. Can't get the full connection. The second just holds him at bay, and they're going to see if they can stick it behind the chassis. Has to lean in. Creeps and crawls his way across. They're aware of that though, and Iana!
Crouch spam.
Crouch spamming their way in the door. A 3 apiece, an even half here for Elevate.
An even half indeed. They managed to bring it back from, I believe it was a 2v4 situation there. The crouch spam in the end really working out for DCH. That brings a 3-3. So far, even split. Still anyone's game. 1-1 in maps, 3-3 in rounds. He will take it. It's literally, I have no clue yet. But what we will see is now that round swap. And it could happen that one A team seems to be very good on one side of things. They're not as good on the other. And that might start to show now. Elevate will be on their defense, which is naturally favored in Siege on maps that are new. Of course, Chalet not really new anymore. And the meta is slowly starting to shift towards the attack. So whoever will be getting the upper hand, I dare to say, in these next 3 rounds has a very good opportunity of winning it in regulation.
Map 1 BDS or map 2 BDS? What do we get on map 3 BDS? That is what's about to be asked, because you pretty much almost couldn't have more difference in 2 halves from a team, or, well, the same half from the team across 2 different maps. Even. And it could either be a quick lockout and storm here of 4 rounds, or, well, I guess technically it could be the same, but just not into their pocket. We might get a bit of back and forth. It depends on Elevate if they can sort of set themselves up and try and hit that mantle and metal that otherwise has been a bit back and forth across the opening half of this.
For sure. It has been back and forth to some extent. I mean, Elevate picked up the very 2 first opening kills. Were able to work on the back of that as well. And after that, BDS has been able to get every single opening kill. Just unfortunate that they weren't able to lock off that last round. It was due to great gunplay, actually, on the side of Elevate. And yes, Shaika got an amazing shot, however, but they were ready on the side of Elevate to swing with 2, to just take the gunfight, and as one pushes through, the other one holds the angle, so you need to make a decision. What gunfight will I take? As Onigiri just pops up from the window, drops Renshiro as he wants to toss in a grenade, but BDS is going in quickly.
They're in the site, they're able to get a kill. Brede drives right past DCH. His whole job was to watch that potential rotation. Shaco's job is to put bullets in his head. There's one more over the cover, a 4 versus 2. Sapper goes for a wide swing and a post plant. He's rebacked in the position that was dropped from before. He knows it's multiple watched and gives his position away. Hey, BDS. Here's your map too, BDS.
At least for now.
At least for now.
Quick push there for them. They lost the eventual entry. Rinchiro tried to get a grenade into a place which would help for this execute to work out well, but after that, you know, they thought, all right, we get the entry, we can slow the game down, but BDS said the complete opposite. They just walk in from the balcony, went through the door, went in deep, get a kill, go for the plant, and Elevate suddenly not in the right position to deal with such aggression. That works once, however. That is not going to be working out twice, especially not in a row. Of course, we never know. BDS might try it again, and maybe they will completely overwhelm Elevate.
Well, if they try it again, they'd be in the wrong place, because the site is bar now.
Yeah, of course, but
they've moved over to a different site.
You might just all jump into the A window if no one is in Pantry.
Hey, I mean, Frost's off the board. It gives them at least something to act behind. They have that ferocity, they have the ability to turn it on, and their attacks, as we said, can be their sharpest point. In a meta that drives itself on attack, BDS generally have found a really good preference for it. And although they have players that are highlighted for the fantastic clutch capabilities that they offer, that's the thing about BDS at their best, for me, is when they're on an attack, because you will always write stories about what each of them can bring to an engagement, to a position, and to a setup themselves. The spread from Elevate here is all the way to the top of Pillar. They're still, if you've missed it, fighting for the 2 points for positioning more than anything. They still have the chance to pull themselves up. I don't know entirely, obviously, how the game's going on the other screen, but I know it's at least on the third map between the two NA teams. So TSM, they're trying to solidify themselves as top seed.
They definitely are, and they have the opportunity to, indeed, if they manage to get this next win, at least, I believe, as the Yana Replicator is about to be sent in here. Shaiko knows one is close around the corner now. And we did see a way around it in one of the previous games we've seen. Just get a grenade, bounce it over the top, and you instantly get rid of Sapper in his current position. Doesn't seem, however, that currently BDS is looking to play for a way like this. So the pressure seems to be coming down from different ways. Instead, the gunfight will just be taken and won by Shaiko. I mean, that's also a way to win.
It's also a way to do it.
I mean, you know, you got Shaiko on your team anyway. DCH takes a huge amount of damage as well, but manages to survive. However, the library is no longer under control of the side of Elevate.
Yeah, DCH entirely blinded there for a second, took a huge amount of damage, and Lems is going to see if he can finish the job, assuming he was the one that did most of it. There was some pressure and explosion, and DCH, he's going to see if he can just sneak his way back around, and is able to get an escape, but still, that is a huge position that's now been pulled away from them. They're going to probably focus towards Nay on the opposite side and see if they can try and burn through the top of the stairs. As soon as they get the read that things have been moved away from them, well, they're able to move themselves in across the top and start their approach towards the site itself.
Seems to go for a bit of a double push there. 3D above in the window, Shaiko below on the same one. Snay actually working his way back to the top. Rafal, however, is close on the fireplace, I believe. No, actually, he's below. Lems is still outside of the window, however, but he's actively watching some of these drones, looking to potentially put up some pressure on the piano. So there's actually a way that Nay is going to be able to sneak in, as Shaiko is taking a very aggressive gunfight here. And Agiri takes a lot of damage. Nay just continues to stick right behind his shield. He wants to make sure that the top floor is not surrendered yet. Rafal on the way that he can actually shut them down if he moves back down. And with an Agiri dropping, it's now Breed that picks up a very important kill onto Nay as well. It's a 2-on-4 situation, and DCH is on 10 HP still, as Nerex picks up the first kill on the side of Elevate.
Well, DCH is still massively injured, and now the game of surprise is taken away from him, and now he's all that's left. Shaiko gets one more, and Rafal connects the final kill. 5-3, 2 rounds threaded in a row. BDS stern-faced and pushing themselves through on this game so far, and there is that cleanliness to some of their approaches, that burn and burst of utility where things are reaching that symphony of destruction. Kitchen.
Seems like a tactical timeout will be called, presumably by the side of Elevate. Just a guess.
What gave it away?
The fact they lost 2 rounds in a row, and afterwards we saw the camera on Elevate coming on, and the coach putting his microphone down.
And the fact that we can see the live feed of the game and it got paused.
And that as well.
Which is
and
why I know that it's going to Kitchen next
day. Of course,
day.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm just giving the audience every factor of everything of our omnipotence. It's attack pause. It is a moment for Elevate to talk, because this game does still have weight for them. And the way they opened up in that first map against BDS is the best that they've played. Obviously, the result was fantastic, a 7-2. They really couldn't have done a better performance on Club, which was BDS's map. It does raise that uncomfortable question of BDS going to Club was a risk because everybody knows Club. And it just takes the team with less pressure to get some momentum to suddenly find themselves ahead, and then it becomes a really uncomfortable environment, because when you have pressure on the line, mistakes happen. There's no two ways about that. And when those mistakes happen on a map that you're super familiar with and that everybody's super familiar with, you can sort of still work around them, and Club is that. Maps like Chalet, maps like Kafe that are more intrinsically, tactically driven, because they're still developing, for one thing. They're quite awkward for some teams to get the approach and the defense on is another.
Yeah, sure. And I think maps like Oregon and Club, everybody will know. It's just a basic of Siege. It's not like Hereford, you know, the first map you launch. When you actually get Siege, you go into the simulations and...
You know, situations?
The situations, yeah. And you have to take out 11 of them. 11 of those NPCs.
I remember them well.
I know it's apparently a world record speedrun kind of thing for it. I don't know who holds it at this moment in time, but I think, I'm not quite sure, but I think one of the Aussie casters for a while tried to break it. Might have even held it for a while, because they always spawn at the same place. So it's literally just mechanics that come in, muscle memory to go through it as quickly as you possibly can. Either way, we are not going for a speed run of quickest best of 3 here. It's going to be impossible with the third map that is about to be coming up here. Either way, BDS is looking to go and lock in their third map of the tournament and their second one in this game, which would provide them with an extra point. 3 in total they would have, which is unfortunately for them the same that Dark Zero currently has, with the game left to be played still and having the head-to-head over BDS. So we're going to say it again, they have been eliminated, unfortunately, but they still play like there's something to win, and there is a game still to win. You do not want to go home from the Six Invitational without winning at least one of your games, and that's not maps, that is matchups. BDS, they want to take it right here against Elevate, and when we were talking about it with the talent as well, we're like, all right, they should be able to take the win against Elevate. I mean, they had that time to get back together. If there's any moment they get a win, it will be now. But Elevate have put up a good fight, especially taking that first map. Completely unexpected for many, at least being quite close on this one.
Nay is going for a swing, potentially towards the hop in here on the west main side and take, but he's actually just going to pull out of there before it gets a little bit too dangerous. I think obviously the team talk said, well, let's give them some stretch and some space, we'll put some pressure early, but let's not throw ourselves into these engagements, because currently BDS are very good at closing them down. Alem's underneath him, and Shiro, just on that trophy window, is going to get the read on Onigiri, who's still slipping their way through. It's a little bit uncomfortable right now for the players of Elevate, because all the pressure's sort of coming in a bit flat. You have Brede on the far side, making sure he can open it, and then, well, the cross pressure that comes across West Main, hopped in and dropped down, potentially. There is the player underneath of Alems, who's just going to see if he can smash this open, swing round. Great take and move there from Napier, a grenade in hand. Goodbye. Goodbye. Shaiko blowing himself out, and the W kill isn't all those W's that you see across the board. It is probably the hands of the man that you saw actually take it.
Yeah, it was the injury, of course, that came in from Merrick's, but as the hand had a grenade, you know, in his hand, it dropped when the kill came through, and that is eventually what confirmed Shaiko his own death. 3-4 situation. BDS is a man down. It's not the end of the world. I mean, still plenty here to fight for. Drones are being positioned currently. Flashbangs will be tossed in to hopefully blind someone on the other end of things. And follow it up with a bit of an execute of the 2 remaining members of BDS. Smoke as well, enhanced by Rafal. Trying to block up one of these lines aside potentially. Yeah, they have it, stopping anybody from the Solarium stairs to try and fight into his window. At the same time, Trophy is being held, but as Brede gets down, and suddenly Elevate have a 2-minute advantage right here as Rafal's trying to go into the site.
Renshiro gets one and brings it back a little bit more balanced, but 30 seconds marked, and well, a smoke canister forces Rafal into the gunfire of Sapper. Renshiro He is soon to follow Elevate. They take their attack timeout and make use of it. 5-4. They're able to find their first defensive round at the same time that, in fairness, BDS found theirs at the other half. Obviously, they lost the first two, Snowmo and Bar, and then started to cook things in Kitchen, the same place. And let's see, I suppose, if Elevate can do one better than what BDS managed before, or if they can, I guess, keep it level and we find ourselves hurtling towards a perfectly even Chalet.
Could be the case, of course. We might find ourselves with a 3-3 and a 3-3 heading towards overtime to decide whether or not it will be Elevate that gets to get that extra point for seeding purposes, or if it will be BDS that ends their tournament run with a win. Don't know how happy they will be with it. I mean, they haven't been really loud in these round wins that they've had. Of course, they also know they kind of needed the full 3 points. And if you lose that first map, that is sort of out of question. Completely out of question. Which means maybe the lack of focus we've seen here and there, or at least the lack of hype on the 1 rounds. And even the 1 map, to some extent. Elevate, on the other hand, they did what they needed to do. They confirmed themselves. That was goal number 1 today. Goal number 2 is try and pick up as many points as possible, so they have the opportunity to fight for the top 2 seeding. Question here will be, will they be successful, or is BDS going to be nicking away those last 2 points? That's it. Are they going to steal them away? That's going to be their goal. That's what they want. BDS wants that win. They're playing for it. And Elevate, they need to show that they deserve them. Deserve those points. And I know we keep on repeating it, but that's literally all that's left for this game. It's literally a seeding on for Elevate and a goodbye for BDS.
That's it. It is all that it is, and it's all that's left. The steady approach comes. Quick movement there towards the possibility of pinching out Nay. They've realized that it's sort of abandoned up here. There is still some bursts of utility, but DCH is the man that's moving on a bit of a mission here. He doesn't want to get entirely caught out. And Shiro is concerned about the chance of a swing round. Obviously, the barbs on the far side will slow him down, but it's Sapper that opens up against Shaiko, who tried to do the same take he did before, but this time wasn't quite able to get the swing onto the right place. The corner of Library, he was red. And now it's just got to see if Brede can try and get some revenge as that gate gets reclosed.
Tight angle being held here by Sapper. He took a lot of damage. DCA just coming up to provide some support as well on those staircases. Hey, actually off quite far inside that bedroom slash office, just playing around at a couple of members of Elevate on the site and below. It's going to be some Excaliburs that got shot, not quite sure where. Might have been to get rid of a Syria laser gate. Yeah, actually has been. And LMs now will take the spot of Shaiko to try and see if they can find Sapper, who already has fallen back, by the way. He went all the way up to the pantry, and as the Twitch drone will come through and send in 1 zap towards, I believe that was a PC utility. It's now the second Aruni laser gate to be wasted here with 70 seconds left on that clock. BDS is looking and eyeing for a potential plant.
That's it, Alems. He goes through a hop through, and Onigiri actually gets caught out by Renshiro, who's still trying to get that barbed wire, but it's just out of reach and range, so can't quite get it. So goes with the conviction and convincing that, well, we've been able to get the top of Fireplace. Theoretically, they're not going to swing for us. Alems wanted to knock down that shield for a second. It's just going to see if he can get anything on the hatch before he takes care of all the rest of the business and doesn't get caught out by anything that might catch it out. Nay, though, he could be a big strike here if he goes unchecked. Alems is forced back upstairs, but the pings are there. And Renshiro's there too. Takes the kill before Alems can even make it all the way. 35 seconds. There's a slow creep that's happening all the way down in the basement, which leaves only 2 players onto the site itself. That grenade just rolls a little bit too far away, or just rolls a little bit too short, but that one sure doesn't. Renshiro with a triple, Rafal with 1 more, suddenly just leaves DCH in and amongst the smoke. He has somehow got through. It's a blind knife fight. Nobody can see. There is at least a pickup, but a trade comes out. Map and series point for BDS.
There it is, it's the map and series point. A little bit of a talk with BIOS actually taking place. I'm wondering if that was a tactical timeout or if that is an issue being notified. Either way. BDS, 1 round to go, and they managed to get a series under their belts. Again, bittersweet. They needed the full 3 points here today, especially with Dark Zero picking up that first map. They needed to. TSM did not per se. They needed a point to be at the right place. And now, BDS. They fight for the win, they fight for the victory. And Elevate, they hope to go for a comeback here.
Okay, BDS, one more round to lock it out. And with how everything goes, at least it will be nice to have a win in the column. And at least you can leave with your heads held somewhat high from the performance that unfortunately came after everything else that had come before it. Bedroom might be where it locks out, and we were here before, and, well, you'd be surprised, or I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if you didn't remember it because of how quick it was. BDS absolutely stormed the balcony after a failed entrance. Were able to slip past the hole to start putting the diffuser with the cover already in place. Suddenly, all the Elevate players had to try and retake, and couldn't. They were entirely locked out by the gun skill and crossfire that was otherwise well coordinated.
So real coordinated indeed. Of course, the early kill went Elevate's way, but quickly the push that came in right after, and instantly the plant that came through as well. They needed that pace, and they took it with Storm. Something they, if they want to go for it again, need to have well-coordinated push, because surely there's going to be someone around the corner just waiting for a push like that to happen, or at least in a position to counter it. And that might be Nay. Napew is playing below currently in the bedroom, no, not bedroom, the kitchen area. He's walking around with a shotgun, with a pistol, so that might be the FO12 shotgun in hand for him. This rotates all the way back up. I think those close angles might be, what is that? No, actually, the Scorpion have been proven wrong. Thought he might have been trying to go for a blow and try and stop any plants from happening. Instead, he will be just playing close on the breach with a Scorpion. High rate of fire. Easy to get these kills with, and Nerix will start it off for Elevate.
Renshiro is going to see if he can bounce some pressure around, and Nay unfortunately misthrows the Grismot, can't quite get it all the way out to try and stem any of this approach. Instead, pops it onto the door of that balcony walk-in. Brede, he's popping himself open some angles here. He's going to see if he can get the coordination, as Nay is going to try and dig himself in close just behind it. Takes a shoulder of damage on the explosion, just those other-sided X-Kairos pellets, but he's just going to hope that nobody knows he's there. And Shiro, though, has a little bit of concern to be paid. And to be fair, we've had a lot of surprise strikes from that exact position. They're right behind you, Nay, and now you've revealed yourself. Popped up, dropped one, dropped back. Renshiro crosses it over from the balcony outside, keeping a keen eye towards it as the drone works its way across, spots the Maestro bubble just to the top of the left. They're not going to be able to slip and slink their way in as they did before, but Onigiri, well, he shuts the door before they even get close. A huge fight all the way from the back line. Alems gives himself a little bit of a pickup as Brede wants to see if he can slip behind that half wall.
Flashbangs are coming out, the ADS will be popped. The plant is attempted here, but Alems needs to bring the perfect cover. It's actually a little bit of a bait to come through as well, and as DCH gives away his position as Brede that picks up an extra kill. BDS might still be in it right here. A grenade will be tossed in deep and potentially will find its target. No, the ADS has just recharged. Well, my discs are being pushed in as well, and as the ADSs and the discs are being taken out, Brede again attempts to go for a plant. Is there going to be any aggression from the side of Elevate? The smoke will be pushed in. It's only up to Brede now in a 1v3 situation. Is going to be able to clutch this out, and Nagiri goes on the outside. He will be getting the call now. It's just in time. Back on the back of it. He gets the first kill, but Nerix will be able to lock it off, and that means that it will be his triple kill, but also a round for Elevate, who managed to get the diffuser back disabled, or counter disabled, and win the round and pushes all the way over to 12.
6-5. After a 7-2 and a 7-3, we find ourselves at a 6-5 with the potential to go to OT to end a series that, well, it's been back and forth in a major way, and then a little bit more of a minor key here. The whole song was sad based on the other stuff around the music, but everything has to come to an end at some point. Kitchen is where we might find it happening here, or we might find ourselves, as I said, pushing into OT. BDS have one more opportunity here, and this one was last one and only one by Elevate on their defense so far.
I have to say, though, that that was partially due to the great hold in the West Main, where Shaiko was cooking a grenade from the inside instead of from the safety of the outside of the window. Got himself picked up as a result of it. 2 kills that went into the way of Elevate, and that is something they need to make sure that doesn't happen again. BDS is just a singular round away from winning a 3rd map in the tournament here. Unfortunately, will not be enough under any of the given circumstances. There is no magical ties that can get them out of this situation here. It is end of story. But it's just how the end of the story will be written. Is it with a win or a loss against Elevate? As the setup is being made, there is going to be some of them up onto that top floor, some extension into the billiards as well. A lot of holes being created actually for rotations, lines of sights, being able to toss utility through from the defender's point of view. And that will allow them to potentially hold on well, because we never really saw the attack being mounted by the side of BDS. It was always a very quick shutdown to come through, and as the first grenade lands from Shaiko, it's no one that gets picked up. A drone will be sent right after to try and figure out where these players are actually at. A second one thrown into the west main area, but will not find success. DCH playing here and around. It's actually Onigiri that picks up the very first kill. He's low on HP, but he finds Renchiro, and it's going to be a very important pickup. It's the sledge gone. No more verticality they can play with. And also grenades less, but Shaiko actually confirmed the kill through the drone hole.
Shaiko's able to get that revenge there, and, well, there's Eric's trying to do everything to stop them getting a straight way in. They're going to play themselves all the way to the back line. Takes the gun 6 to remove nothing, unfortunately. It's caught out, and there it is. Yeah, actually, the disc was the catch. The grenade was the attempt, but the player had actually already moved off the point. Instead, he was swinging down from the bottom of Solarium stairs. Instead, Alems, he's crept his way up from underneath main, and the drone is just going to wear its way across first to see if it can take out anything else.
No one is in the close corner. There's suspicions about a player being on the back stairs. Solarium stairs, that is, and that is something they will have to deal with. DCH still in a position where he's on a prime area to go for a flank, especially if Bride wants to push in from an area around the fireplace. As Mute Gemmer does get taken out, it's Nay as well to lose his life. Lems picks up yet another, but it might not be enough. It's a 4-on-3 situation, but with DCH in the position that he's currently at, he has the opportunity to win the gunfight from Bride and stop the breach from happening. Luckily, he doesn't carry the diffuser, but it still will bring it back to a 3-on-3 situation. And as Lems right here spots out ahead, but is unable to land the kill onto Nerix, he heals himself back up to full as DCH is on the hunt. Lems on the flank watch as he heard something. Side Tracer pop through, but that'll only give away the suspicion that someone was still off the site. That's one offside. That means it's a 4-on-2 if you hit the site directly, and that's exactly what they try and push for at this given moment here. DCH now back, low on HP. Shaiko picks up a kill. It's another one to come through from Sapper, and that leaves us in that 3v2, still counting down 40 seconds as a kill comes in from Bride in the back from the breach. It's Sapper to save Elevate now. If they want to go to OT, he has to gun for it. It's the Alva, but he's not going to be able to land the first. It's Bride that will secure BDS their first and only victory in the Six Invitational as they win from Elevate with 2-1.
It's been a long, unfortunate, winding and clouded and upsetting road for BDS and BDS fans alike. Things have happened outside of their control or anything else, and we just had to sort of sit and watch. They find a bit of bittersweetness to the end and a cloud with a little bit of a silver lining. Elevate, congratulations. You have made it through to the next step and have one more game ahead of you. BDS, commiserations. Success today, and I'm sure much more in your future, but I am sure it's still a very bitter end, unfortunately.
It is a bitter end indeed. They did not want their tournament to go down this way, and even though they went into this game with their head held high, they knew there was an opportunity to make it out. That quickly crumbled as they lost their first game. At least they stayed in it. At least they wanted to at least end it with a victory. And even though you might not proceed in the Six Invitational, we would like to welcome you back, of course, to the European League.
Oh, it's always home with us. But for now, that's all for us. We are going to throw it to a quick break before we're back with the analysts to break down that series.